Welcome back to the channel, guys. I'm so excited to be here live with you guys today. How are you? Say hi in the chat. Here at this channel, we talk about pop culture, power, media manipulation with a healthy dose of astrology and human design. But today, guys, we are breaking down the fuckery that's gone on with Blake Lively at Times 100. I blame y'all in my comment section. I blame you guys. I saw the comments being like, why isn't Time featuring Blake? It's got to be misogyny because they're featuring Ryan, her husband, instead of her. I'm blaming you guys that complained that Blake, and I say this with love, that complained that Blake didn't talk at Time 100 for the shit we're dealing with now with her. I blame you guys, and I say it with love. How are you guys? I'm going to say hi to everyone in the chat, but first, before we get started, I'm going to let you guys know about a crazy concept if you are new to the internet. If you do not like how I run my channel, there is this new concept. It's called unsubscribe, and it's called follow someone else. When we do lives here, I love hanging out with the community. It is our time as if we're hanging out in my living room to chat, to have a coffee, and talk about the insanity that's going on in pop culture. If you're looking for someone to just go and read you the deets, lives aren't that. So just in case anyone wasn't aware that that is a possibility in the online space. Thank you. It is so nice to see you, my friend. That'll go straight to the farm animals. We are building some extra paddocks for our rescue animals. I want to expand their paddocks so they have more space so that they can destroy more trees on the property. Tell them, Ashley, I'm so tired of it. It's a wild concept, I know. Hello, hello. It's so nice to see you guys. Adore you, and you have the best hair shine. Secret, please. You know what's funny? And I'm going to tell you guys this before we get into it because it actually ties back to Blake, and I think it's hilarious. You guys aren't going to believe me. I don't use conditioner because my scalp is so sensitive that I can't use conditioner. And I think it's so funny because Blake Lively doesn't have conditioner for her hair care line, and everyone laughs at her for it. And Skin just oils, honestly, or The Ordinary products. Cheap, affordable. The Ordinary is the bomb. That's not an affiliate. All right. It is so nice to see you guys. Hello, beautiful. It's so nice to see you here. I'm always nice to see familiar faces. Let's dive in. Okay. I have a little list. See what's on the top? Soul Boom. Guys, I have to address this. No matter how many times I tell myself Soul Boom, actually, like, look, I'm not even joking. I even have a note to myself. It comes out Soul Bloom. I can't stop it. It just happens. I have notes to myself about it, and it still comes out Soul Bloom. So maybe I need to start a Soul Bloom podcast. But to Rain, I apologize. I'm not trying to be an asshole about your podcast in the name. It just comes out Soul Bloom every single time. Okay, do you guys want to see first Megyn Kelly lean into Blake? Have you guys seen this? We're going to dive into this first. All right. Do we have a little list of what we're going over today? We're going to go over Megyn Kelly, Blake Lively's speech at Time 100. Then we have Jennifer Abel and Wayfair and their response, amended complaint. We're going to do that afterwards, including, have you guys heard about this? And make sure to like and subscribe if you're here. Did you guys hear that apparently Stephanie Jones has had access to Jennifer Abel's cloud up until January of this year? What? So we're going to do that. We'll look at that, and we'll pull up any other filings if we have time. You guys know our lives are long, and I'm not going to apologize for it because I've been watching 10-hour streams over on Emily D. Baker for Karen Reed. So not apologizing that we talk a lot here. I'm obsessively checking for Jed's amendment. Yeah, this is wild. How can you not love Megyn Kelly? She just says it as it is. Let's hear first what she has to say.
Hoping for some sort of a selfie in the distance with both Blake Lively and Meghan Markle, since they provided me with so many hours of content. It's a ridiculous joke. She shouldn't be there. She has no influence over anything. I mean, I think she launched a fake Me Too allegation against him, and she's lived to regret doing it because virtually every allegation she has made has fallen apart. And so for her to be honored for doing that, to try to ruin a man over absolutely nothing, is a scandal.
Yeah.
And obviously they're looking for big stars to come here and generate pages on their magazines, but that was very wrong.
Right.
We have to be very clear-eyed on what looks real and what doesn't, and call it out when it isn't. Otherwise, no one who's actually experienced these things is going to be believed. Well, I'm definitely hoping.
She said it at the Time 100 event. She said it. That it was all just to have big names here. It was just to have certain people, and she made fake Me Too movements. All right, let's see. Have you guys seen? We're going to go over now to the speech. Right up until this moment, I was pulling all these clips to do a reel later on all the bullshit Blake did for the promotion of Me Too. And here's the thing, guys. Don't forget, because what I'm still seeing online is the propaganda that Blake was just following orders for the It Ends With Us marketing. Maximum Effort is who did the marketing. They have text messages. Justin Baldoni put text messages up where Blake Lively is like, you don't have to do anything. We're just going to take over it. We're like the mafia here. We'll get rid of lame ideas. And he was like, that's why I'm not going to die on this hill. So that text message chain that Justin Baldoni put up proves that Blake and Ryan were in charge the whole time. So anyway, I have all these clips of her and the absolute bullshit that she did as marketing for It Ends With Us, which was her idea with Ryan Reynolds. But let's look at what she said at the Time 100 gala. It looks as if someone had been recording this like secretly. I wouldn't be shocked if someone said to me, this is her PR team. This is her PR team that had put this out there. They filmed it to look like, it was just like undercover. Someone was filming the audience. I wouldn't be shocked. I would say it's likely someone on her team that filmed this. But let's watch Blake Lively talk about this new claim that her mom was apparently abused. If we look back at what Blake has said about her mom in the past, what she said about her mom is that her mom was strong and taught her don't take no for an answer, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not saying that doesn't mean that her mom did not also experience abuse, that her mom didn't also go through things, but this is completely out of left field. This was never mentioned. It wasn't something that was talked about. It's not something that was talked about up until this point. Okay, and let's play nice in the chat. Just because we play a clip from someone doesn't mean everyone has to start fighting with each other. Whoops, where is the...
But tonight is not the forum. What I will speak to separately is the feeling of being a woman who has a voice today. And since I could speak, because of the pain, caution, and fight of the many women who have paved the way and the men who stood beside them. Millions I will never know the name of, because every life, every act, big or small, affects another. Before I say more, I want to warn that I will speak about tonight covers trauma, so please feel free to step away if you need. My life was influenced most by my...
I just have to make a point here. I just have to pause here because every time I watch this, I think of this. She says, I'm going to be talking about trauma. If you need to step away, and immediately continues talking. So even if someone was impacted by the trigger warning, you didn't have time to get away. I mean, you could have done earmuffs. Maybe she should have just said earmuffs because you wouldn't have had time to get away from hearing this.
My mother, sitting here tonight, Willie Elaine McAlpin. She's an eternal optimist, and she's always leaving me messages, hooping and hollering and saying, "Woo, life's just a bowl of cherries." It's true, always. And she'll get your number tonight, and she'll leave you those messages, so please be warned. But at her urging and her unwavering bravery, she wanted me to share with you that she is the survivor of the worst crime someone can commit against a woman. I've watched her conceal her raw and undeserved shame my entire life, So as her daughter, being asked to share this today is monumental. If we name it, we change it. Just as our fellow Time 100 honoree, the incredible Giselle Pellicot, put it to every woman who understood, it's not for us to have shame, it's for them. I have so much.
The thing that kills me the most with all of this, if you watch it back again, Blake's mom keeps trying to talk to Ryan, and he's like, at one point he kind of nods and gives a half smile, but seems to be completely ignoring her mom. I am convinced that her and Ryan were kicked out of the house by their PR teams and be like, put on a fucking smile, pretend you like each other because you're going out to Time 100 together. I am not convinced they are still together based on anything I've seen, based on the pictures that are coming out with them. She's clinging to him and he looks like he's trying to shake her off like a tick or something. But this is just, it's so tone deaf. It's so tone deaf. Now, what I believe, and I was actually just doing a reel on this. Let me actually pull up Google. Just give me a second. I struggle with multitasking. I'm going to pull up Google because in the last couple of days, so for those that have been here for a bit, what I primarily do is branding, marketing, SEO for my clients. So I noticed in the last couple of days that what in my head, what it felt like was her team was losing control of the narrative and they weren't really on top of what was being said on Google. So we were starting to see it be taken over by, shake her off like a tick. It was starting to be taken over by, Taylor Swift and Hugh Jackman being deposed and It Ends With Us lawsuits. There was a lot coming out that wasn't overly friendly to Blake Lively. And so I had wondered in the last couple of days, I thought, I wonder what they're going to do. Because her team, her PR team has been pretty quick on it, where as soon as Google, they're not really worried about justice for Justin people at the end of the day. Like, we are lost causes to them. They are focused on Google. We've talked about this previously on the channel. Every time the narrative on Google, so the first couple pages, fall out of favor to Blake, they're on top of it. Like, there is a donut stunt. There's Ryan photoshopping pictures or advocating for arena name changes in Ontario, Canada. Like, they're in the news for something. Wrexham news, like something is in the news. So I thought, I wonder what they're going to do. I'm not even going to lie. I had no idea that there was like a gala for Time 100. I've never really paid attention to it. However, what her team needed was something to create SEO manipulation around. Welcome, Haley. Oh my goodness, it's so nice to have you as a channel member. They needed something to create SEO manipulation around. You can't just like, well, you can come up with something out of nowhere, but it works better if there's like actual content. And what better way than Times 100 gala event? So what we're seeing now starting to take like 15, and it's going to gain more steam throughout the day, but take precedence in the news feed on Google is Blake Lively. See her name first. Demi Moore honored at Time 100 gala. Blake Lively draws flack for Time 100 speech. So there is some negative coming out too. Daily Mail was on the jump for that. Daily Mail went first, calling it out as fake PR. Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds are all romance and glamour at Time 100. Oh my goodness. Okay, this is what's cool. Look at the kind of like PR battles going on now. Why Selena Gomez issued a warning to Taylor Swift about Blake Lively. I want to know what the warning was. But Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds step out together. This is starting to slowly creep up in the newsfeed. I would say there's a counter PR going on, which is normal, totally normal. Justin's team should be on top of it as well. And this is something else that I've noticed this morning is starting to take over the newsfeed even more. Blake Lively and Taylor Swift able to recover friendship in mid-lawsuit. That is going to, from an SEO perspective, people are going to be searching Blake Lively, Taylor Swift, or Taylor Swift, It Ends With Us lawsuit. Now that 13 hours ago, so see here, this is 2 days ago, Taylor Swift, Hugh Jackman to be subpoenaed in Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni legal battle. It's 2 days ago, page 6. we have a newsfeed that moves so fast. Now we're likely going to be seeing more and more and more coming out with attaching Blake Lively and Taylor Swift's names together in a positive PR. So Blake Lively, Taylor Swift able to recover their friendship. Blake Lively attends Time 100 Gala amid Justin Baldoni lawsuit. So you're seeing a lot of push around that. 12 hours ago, what did Deadline say? Blake Lively and publicists accused by Justin Baldoni PR team of ploy to obtain subpoena power. Okay, so see, that's what they're trying to fight in the newsfeed. This is something else they were trying to fight in the newsfeed. So this is all ongoing. You're going to start to see throughout the day today, Blake Lively attends Gala and her speech take more and more precedence in the newsfeed. But this is something else she was fighting. I thought it was hilarious. So Penn Badgley, I'm watching season, is it 5 of You right now? Love Him and You. Reflects on dating Blake Lively on Call Her Daddy. And they're like, the headlines are all that was a struggle to date her. It's kind of like, from what I've seen, I haven't listened to the whole episode, taken slightly out of context, but I think it's still really funny. But overall, it's a PR move. It is a PR move. It's SEO manipulation to get her in the newsfeed on positive PR, and not just positive PR, but PR around DV, PR around she's actually experienced it. It's, you know, it was the marketing team at It Ends With Us that made it seem like she was detached. It's the PR team from It Ends With Us. It's Justin Baldoni's fault she was talking about florals, because a lot of people don't realize what actually happened. A lot of people that don't follow the case aren't attuned to what's going on. Yeah, Penn's comments were taken way out of context. What he says is that time of his life was a struggle. Yeah, I still think it's kind of funny that the headlines are running with like dating Blake Lively was a struggle, but her PR team's still going to want to push that down in the newsfeed. You don't want to see Blake Lively with struggle or problems anywhere at the top of the newsfeed. So I would predict throughout today and the next couple of days, we're seeing more stories about apparently her mom, because this is the top story. She's honored at Time 100. Their romance and glamour at Time 100, which is interesting. They're leaning into the glamour again. I want to see what this says, though. This is like totally off topic from what I was going to cover, but now I want to see. Selena Gomez, stark warning to Taylor Swift over Blake. Oh, they're going to make me pay for it. Forget it, guys. We're not seeing. Why bitter Justin Baldoni battle has finally granted her relief. Huh. Did I just, as Emily D. Baker would say, yeet myself from my own live stream? Is that how Emily D. Baker yeets herself from her own live streams? I think I just did it. Are we back? Can anyone confirm we're back? Is anyone watching this in the house? This is why I need a team. My team is sleeping on the job. Okay. We're back. Perfect. All right. Thank you, Andy. Thank you. We have someone here that's got my back. Perfect. Now I understand how Emily D. Baker yeets herself. That's what she always says. And I'm like, how do you yeet yourself from your own live stream? Now I know. Okay. We are going to flip over to the lawsuit, which I did have up. And where did it go? All right. I'm going to pull it up here. And share the screen. All right, so we're switching gears from the You Are Back. Thank you, guys. I appreciate someone's got my back. Thank you. Okay, so we are going to look at the lawsuit now. This is Stephanie Jones, Joneswork LLC versus Jennifer Abel, Melissa Nathan, Justin Baldoni, Wayfarer Studios LLC, and John Doe's 1 to 10. No. Did they really write John? This is my first look at it. I don't know if you guys have seen this yet, but we're diving in. Yeah, I know people have feelings about EDB. I will always be a law nerd. And at the end of the day, I surround myself also with people that have different views, and I love her. I am watching Karen Read with her, although I'm hanging out with you guys right now, but watching the Karen Read trial with her. But a lot of creators are actually covered by WME, believe it or not. in the online space. Not me, but a lot are. Okay, so apparently John Doe's 1 of 10 have been added to this. This is defendant Jennifer Abel's amended answer to complaint, counterclaims, and jury trial demanded. I don't know if we're going word for word through 74 pages, but we'll skim it. We'll skim it. All right. So what they're doing here, answering the allegations in paragraph 1 of the complaint, defendant denies such allegations. Answering the allegations in paragraph 2 of the complaint, defendant admits that Jones is engaged in the field of PR and that Jones' work has represented Justin Baldoni and Wayfarer Studios. As to all remaining allegations, defendant lacks knowledge or information sufficient to form a belief. Point 3, answering the allegations in paragraph 3 of the complaint, defendant admits that Baldoni produced, directed, and co-starred in the film It Ends With Us. 4, answering the allegations in paragraph 4 of the complaint, defendant admits the allegations that she received Nathan's communications containing the text set forth in that paragraph. Defendant denies all the remaining allegations in the paragraph and specifically denies that the communications and their context are characterized accurately in the complaint. Answering the allegations in paragraph 5 of the complaint, defendant admits the allegations that she sent communications containing the text set forth in that paragraph, but denies all the remaining allegations. 6, answering the allegations in paragraph 6 of the complaint, defendant admits the allegations that she sent communications containing the text set forth in the paragraph, but denies the rest. Answering the allegations in paragraph 7, defendant admits that she and Nathan were working to protect Baldoni from negative press attention. That's PR. That's just PR. And that she and Nathan sent communications containing the text set forth in that paragraph. Defendant denies all the remaining allegations. 8, answering the allegations in paragraph 8 of the complaint, defendant admits the allegations that she spoke with Katie Warren between July 30th, 2024 and August 12th, 2024, and that she sent communications containing the text set forth in that paragraph. Denies all of the remaining allegations. Oh my gosh, how many are these? Holy shit. Okay, we're not going through all of these. She's admitting certain things, denying certain things. There we go. That is I want to get to the Does 1 through 10. We're skipping ahead to Does 1 through 10. Holy shit. Is this all this is? Did I pull up the wrong form? There's got to be more than this. Maybe I pulled up the wrong form. Oh, no. There we go. Okay. I think this is what I want. Counterclaims of Jennifer Abel. Jennifer Abel, by and through undersigned counsel as and for her counterclaims against Stephanie Jones and Jones Work LLC, allege as follows based on knowledge as to her own conduct and activities and on information and belief as to all other matters except where otherwise alleged. No, this isn't what I was looking for. Damn it. Jones is married to Jason Hodes, a partner at William Morris Endeavor WME, Hollywood's most powerful talent agency. Between her perch atop Jones Work and his partnership at WME, Jones and Hodes are a bona fide Hollywood power couple. When Jones poached Jennifer Abel, Abel was an up-and-coming star publicist at RNCPMK, a storied 70-year-old public relations arm of Interpublic Group, a 53,000 employee publicly traded multinational marketing behemoth. On or around late spring 2020, at the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, Jones, through a recruiter, reached out to Abel via LinkedIn about joining Jones Work. Although Abel was content at RNCPMK and not actively looking for a job, Jones offered her a higher salary. When Abel announced her intention to join Jones Work, she was met with a parade of concern from across her professional network. An array of well-respected public relations professionals from across the entertainment industry reached out to Abel to caution her against working for Stephanie Jones. The crazy thing is with Stephanie Jones is there's not a lot you can find on her on Google. There is not much. And even that Stephanie Jones website or Stephanie Jones Lies website, which I have videos on, she took it down like that. it went up in an article where they were talking about the Business Insider interview or expose on her, and then the Stephanie Jones Lies website, and it was gone. It was gone. Start from general allegations. Is that where we are? Yeah, perfect. So Stephanie Jones, I mean, yes, PR, but she's also been accused of planting stories, bad stories about her clients, so that she's like the only one that has information to clean it up. So she was warned. Jones, they warned, had a well-deserved reputation for treating people horribly. Jones had recently become embroiled in a dispute with another public relations firm for stealing its clients using deceptive and unscrupulous means. Excited by the new opportunity and not personally familiar with Jones or Jones' work, she decided to make the jump in spite of admonitions. Oh, fuck. With her peers. Sorry, guys, I pronounce words wrong. On or about July 9th, 2020, Abel was hired by Jones' Work as vice president. Her mandate was to oversee Jones' Work talent department and grow its Los Angeles office. In connection with and as a condition of her employment, Abel signed a non-disclosure. She was not represented by counsel in connection with the negotiation or execution of the 2020 employment agreement. The 2020 employment agreement provided that Abel was an at-will employee whose employment was exclusive to Jones' Work during the period of her employment. It also contained a confidentiality clause pursuant to which Abel was required to maintain the confidentiality of and not disclose confidential information, as the term is expansively defined therein, which makes sense. This restricted Abel's ability to speak truthfully about her experience at Jones' Work and a host of restricted covenants, including non-competition. That's normal. The 2020 employment agreement also contained a California choice of law provision, providing it has been made and shall be interpreted in accordance with the laws of the state of California without regard to conflict of law principles. Within a few weeks of Abel's onboarding, Jones' Work faced a mass exodus of employees in its New York office. Ugh. While Abel was understandably concerned, Jones assured her that all of the departing employees were horrible at their jobs. This happened to me. We sold our first house to go to this job, and some people had said that this person was like a little bit sketchy, but no one gave me the full truth. And then all of a sudden everyone was quitting, and the boss goes, "They're just really bad at their jobs." And I was like, "Oh, that makes sense." Ugh. Little did Abel then know that turnover of that magnitude was typical at Jones' Work, which routinely faced large-scale departures by disgruntled and demoralized employees. What Abel did quickly realize is that morale amongst Jones' Work employees was outright abysmal. Abel observed that morale amongst Jones' Work employees was inversely correlated with physical proximity to Jones. Closer you are to her, the worse your life is. Makes sense. Abel was also surprised to learn that in spite of its size, Jones' Work lacked any sort of human resource department or dedicated human resource personnel. Jones instead relied on business affairs personnel and her various chiefs of staff to handle any personnel-related matters, in part due to the lack of human resources department or grievances reporting structures and fear of backlash from Jones. Unlike most workplaces, Jones' Work also lacked written internal policies, including regarding the usage of electronic devices or employee handbooks. Because public relations jobs require extensive mobile phone use, public relations firms often assume the cost of their employees' phones and phone usage. Makes sense. Jones was no exception. While Abel had an Android, Jones offered to switch her to a Jones' Work issued iPhone, which required that she port her existing longtime phone number to the Jones' Work company phone plan. Abel had no problem with this, so long as she could retain ownership of her phone number and bring it with her should she leave Jones' Work. Although Jones' Work owned the physical device, it was configured with Abel's personal Apple ID and populated with all of her personal email accounts, photos, text messages, third-party apps, etc. Abel had no concern about using her Jones' Work issued cell phone freely and as her sole mobile device, as such practices are common in her industry, where pay can be low. Man. Just start your own agency. And neither Jones nor anyone else at Jones' Work advised her against doing so. Jones' Work did not have any internal policies that prohibited such use, gave it to the right to monitor such use, or divested employees of a reasonable expectation of privacy in relationship to such use. All right. Notwithstanding the continued large-scale departures from Jones' Work New York office, Abel quickly became a leader of the California operation. Within 2 years, Abel had grown the Los Angeles headcount from 4 employees to 12. All the while, Abel wore an array of hats, working tirelessly within a commensurate increase in compensation. Oh my gosh. The hats just makes, I don't know why, but wearing an array of hats reminds me of the marketing for Another Simple Favor, where Blake is just rambling on about the beautiful hats where they filmed. Just word salad. Anyway, on or about November 22nd, 2021, Jones' work required Abel to enter into a modified employment agreement, changing her employment from at will to a contractual term, adjusting her title and compensation, and subjecting her to a variety of novel restrictions, intending to deter her from leaving Jones' work and inhibiting her ability to remain in her chosen field if she were to do so. That sucks. Abel is not represented by counsel in connection with the negotiation. Oh my God. Why would you not have counsel? Abel, what were you thinking? The 2021 employment agreement, like its predecessor, contained an expansively drafted confidentiality provision, which makes sense, though. Unlike the 2020 employment agreement, the 2021 agreement contained a New York choice of law provision providing as follows. This agreement and the performance of the parties' obligations herein will be governed by and construed in accordance with the laws of the state of New York without giving effect to any choice of law principles. I don't know why you wouldn't have been. Why wouldn't you have a lawyer? That's so weird. And yeah, it seems abnormal not have to supply company number 2. Huh. I mean, and I'm not obviously making, y'all know that have been around. I have a lot to say about Jones' work. So don't take this as me being like, this is Abel's fault. No, I have a lot of videos shredding Stephanie Jones. I think she's a psychopath. And I have lots of videos talking about her. And I also understand hindsight's 2020. You don't want to rock the boat. That's one thing I've learned the hard way, where if I'm negotiating big contracts. Before, when I was younger, I just be like, all right, I trust you. And then not so much now. So it's something I've learned the hard way. So I'm not saying like Abel sucks or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. At all times during Abel's employment at Jones' work, Abel was a resident of the county of Los Angeles, state of California, was based out of Jones' work Los Angeles office, and performed the overwhelming majority of her work within the state of California. Abel has lived and worked in California for the entirety of her adult life. Since graduating from college, Abel has maintained virtually no connection to the state of New York. She has not lived there, maintained a residence there, performed any significant amount of work there, or even traveled there more than a handful of times. She was at all times a California resident and California employee entitled to the protections of the laws of the state of California. It's clear that Jones' work required Abel to agree to a New York choice of law provision because it wanted the ability to bind her to restrictive covenants, such as non-competition and non-solicitation covenants that would be void in California. Interesting. I always thought non-competition and non-solicitation would be normal. I'm used to signing things like that when I worked with different agencies, but usually it's like you have a term. It'll say like for 6 months you can't compete, or for 6 months you can't solicit. By Abel's second year, Jones appeared to be deteriorating. You think? She is a nut. Abel began to harbor increasing concerns about Jones. And if you guys are interested in the Stephanie Jones Lies website, that has since been removed. But my video on it, I mean, maybe I shouldn't remind Stephanie Jones. Maybe I should be saying this. But my video on it, I still have the video up. I haven't gotten any strikes against it. Now I just jinxed now I definitely am going to get one. Damn it. Why'd you say that, actually? But I have the video up and I read the entire Stephanie Jones website, or Stephanie Jones Lies website, if you guys are interested. But she is wild. So Abel began to harbor increasing concerns about Jones' mental stability, and ability to manage client and employee relations. At around this time, Jones started making FaceTime calls to Abel and other employees at notably odd hours. Jones' communication frequently tracked through the night and into the next morning, suggesting that she had not been sleeping at all. Concurrently, I will admit, I do have clients that will message me at all hours. I'm like, do you not sleep? Like, I know we're on other timelines, but do you, like, go to bed? Message me later. Concurrently and likely relatedly, Jones became noticeably more paranoid, accusing Abel, others of plotting against her, more difficult to communicate with Jones, settle her nerves, even track her train of thought. That's all on the Stephanie Jones Lies website. There is so much that's listed in the Stephanie Jones Lies website. Due to extremely draconian NDAs, Jones' threats, and the climate of fear pervading past and present JonesWorks employees and clients alike, Jones' worst excesses were largely hidden from view until around May 2024, when Puck reported that Sanchez and Johnson had dropped Jones as their publicist. That was actually included in the Business Insider. A link to that article was included in the Business Insider expose. I'm actually surprised Stephanie Jones hasn't taken that down, the Business Insider article. But I do feel bad for her because hindsight's always 2020, where you're like, shit. And that's one thing I've learned. When I'm negotiating NDAs with my clients that require, like I required NDA to work with them, I do talk to my lawyer about things. I do. And again, learned the hard way. And unfortunately, with people like Stephanie Jones, my employer that I told you guys about, where everyone's like, you sure you want to take this job? But no one told me all the details. And then everyone leaves once I get the job and sold my house and moved for it. Sometimes you learn the hard way, unfortunately, although this is a lot harder than the lesson I learned. This sucks. While these were among the most prominent and publicly reported departures, a cascade of Jones work clients began to cut ties with Jones, especially after word had spread that Business Insider, was contacting Jones' former and current clients and employees concerning a forthcoming article about her. On May 8th, there it is. It's Stephanie Jones Leaks. I thought it was Stephanie Jones Lies. I think it's just I call Stephanie Jones a liar. Just like Soul Bloom, my little sticky. That's like, Ashley, it's Soul Boom, not Soul Bloom. And yet I continue to say Soul Bloom, no matter how much I try to change that in my brain. It's like the website Stephanie Jones Lies. It's actually Stephanie Jones Leaks. There you go. It is what it is. My brain works how my brain works. I gave up trying to understand it. Along with an X.com account, this kills me. So this Stephanie Jones Leaks went live. It had an X account, a Facebook page, a Reddit account, and a Pinterest page. It slays me every single time that there was a Pinterest page taking down Stephanie Jones. I think it was changed to Lies at some point. Okay, perfect. Thank you. So I'm not completely losing my mind. They must have changed it when she took down another version of it. It was like whack-a-mole. Her staff come out with Reddit pages, X pages, Facebook pages against Stephanie Jones, and she's whack-a-mole out here, but she hits one down and 3 more pop up because she's a nut. Abel had no involvement in any kind in Stephanie Jones Leaks. Stephanie Jones has so many enemies that God knows who actually runs those. These revelations caused a firestorm in Hollywood, resulting in a surge of negative publicity towards Jones, including the publication of the Business Insider piece entitled "Who's Afraid of Stephanie Jones?" Now I'm singing this Taylor Swift song in my head. Oh, shit. I didn't mean to click on it. But there it is. I didn't mean to click on it. But there it is. Who's Afraid of Stephanie Jones? How Tom Brady's publicist became one of the most polarizing names in celebrity PR. Oh, damn it. Now we're back at the top. Okay. If you get car sick or motion sickness from scrolling, close your eyes. We'll find our spot again. Did not mean to click on that. All right. I think we're back in business. I did not know it was an actual hyperlink that I could open. But it was just like the day where I figured out how to highlight things on a live stream, learning technology as we go. Abel was not responsible for the Business Insider piece. The Business Insider piece shed more light on the real Jones, always a volatile personality. Jones had become noticeably more paranoid, erratic, and cruel in recent years. The Business Insider story also shed light on the toxic workplace Jones had fostered at Jones Work. At the office, Jones would regularly turn on deafening music so that she could berate employees free from scrutiny. What? I don't think there was one day in the office that someone wasn't crying, said a former employee. I don't even know how she still has an agency, how it hasn't been I want to know, can anyone find out? I haven't looked into it, so I might be able to find it out through a simple Google search. But is anyone able to find out if she still has clients? Who the hell would still be your client in this shit? Jones also pried into her employees' private lives without invitation, as detailed by Business Insider. When employees called in sick, Jones would FaceTime them to confirm they were actually sick. And at least one instance, an employee who had taken a personal day to attend a funeral received a FaceTime call from Jones during the ceremony. She was apparently suspicious of his whereabouts. As discussed above, but disclosed publicly by Business Insider, turnover rates at Jones Work were extraordinary. These departures included not only junior employees, so I think they're setting the stage. What I would imagine is they're setting the stage for why Justin pieced out, Wayfair pieced out, Abel and everyone just got the hell out of Dodge. Because there is, I believe in one of the filings, someone says that Justin and Wayfair left before their contract was up. So my assumption, again, I'm looking at this the first time with you, my assumption is that they're setting the stage for, yeah, they were leaving because they had no other choice. They broke their contract, but this is why they were leaving. I wouldn't trust her with a goldfish. You and me both. I think the purpose of being her client is a way in at WME. I would agree with that. Another dealing with this woman as a favor to her husband who you really want to impress. Yeah, I agree 100%. In April 2023, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson dropped Jones Work after clashes between Jones and Johnson's team. Jones Work had handled Johnson's personal PR as well as that of his production company, tequila brand, clothing company, and business partner, Danny Garcia. This was a big loss for Jones and one that she kept under wraps for media in order to leverage opportunities for other clients. In the following months, Jones also dropped Bezos, Sanchez, Lainey Wilson, Chris Hemsworth, Wheels Up, Ocean Spray, and Partake Foods. A lot of people dropped her. Those are big names to be dropped by. Through it all, Abel remained loyal to Jones, sticking with her through thick and thin despite growing doubts about Jones' ability to function professionally. No shit. By 2024, however, Jones had become increasingly embittered and hostile towards Abel. Jones frequently criticized Abel's management, manifested extreme paranoia about Abel's close relationships with clients and partners, and went out of her way to reprimand, demean, and embarrass Abel in front of junior employees she oversaw. The craziest thing is my situation like this, believe it or not, was in a program that was meant to be mental health based. Like the person that ran it that I worked for, like people like this are just in Delulu land. People like Stephanie Jones, my ex-employer. This is going back quite a long time. But like the job I had was in the mental health space. These people are, you can't reason with people like this, with the Stephanie Jones of the world. Like they're right. Everyone else is wrong. They're psychos. Over time, Abel's concern about Jones' obvious downward spiral was heightened by the reality that there was no bottom in sight. In the final months of Abel's tenure, Jones had become even more erratic, clearly not sleeping, calling at all hours in a frenzied state, senselessly pitting her own employees against each other, focusing her energy on catching employees in perceived acts of disloyalty. Although Jones had always been volatile, she now appeared to be actively unraveling. I wonder, like, what sparked this? Like a mental health break? Like, maybe Stephanie Jones should have turned to a therapist instead of a psychic. That might have been a more productive way forward for Stephanie Jones, but she turned to a psychic. So, you know, not that I have anything against psychics. I love astrology. I love woo. But I think she needed a therapist. In one instance, Jones announced to Abel's ordinance that she had learned through... Oh, there it is. Actually, just keep reading. Oh, man, I understand more than ever, Emily, when she's reading filings and stuff. Okay. In one instance, Jones announced to Abel's subordinates that she had learned through psychic readings that Abel was an alcoholic. Even if these statements were true, Jones' public announcement would be at best highly inappropriate. Here, however, the accusations are not remotely true. I love they even put an exclamation mark. You don't see too many exclamation marks in legal filings. Like, They have literally no basis in reality, and the employees to whom Jones made her pronouncement were all well aware of that. I can't even talk because my brain is buffering. Can you imagine? Like, again, I'm not against working with a psychic. I'm all for the eyeballs deep in woo. But to ask questions, or even the unethical behavior of who you're working with, to then accuse an employee of being an alcoholic and a gambling addict, like, I almost feel as though a psychic was just feeding into these delusions and telling her what she wanted to hear. That is wild. Well, Jones presumably intended to undermine Abel's credibility. She had actually significantly undermined her own, no kidding, and raised alarm about whether Jones was in the midst of a mental breakdown. Didn't I just say that? She didn't need a psychic. She needed a therapist. She's in the middle of a mental breakdown. Stress will do that to you, though. You know, stress is hard on the body. It's hard on the mind. Not making excuses for Stephanie Jones, but I do think she was in the middle of a mental breakdown. On a different occasion, Jones announced, again, per her psychic, she's literally announcing this. Maybe she confuses the word psychic with psycho. Yes, I think so. I can't believe she's announcing this. I just can't process this. On a different occasion, Jones announced, again per psychic, that Abel would soon be pregnant with twins, humiliating and infuriating Abel, who Jones knew had struggled with fertility issues. What? Like, to not just, like, how inappropriate either way, but then to announce it. Abel, this is wild. You can't even make this shit up. Like, Hollywood could not make up this kind of story or script these days. It reminds me of 30 Rock when there's the intervention and the psychics find out that there's two of them. It reminds me of also of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. And Gina says something that, is it therapists? Oh man, now it's going to drive me crazy, but therapists just weren't good enough at being a psychic or something like that. So they had to be a therapist, but they make a joke about psychics and therapists as well. Gina is hilarious. I love Brooklyn Nine-Nine. So good. Which also connection to all of these crazy ass people. But anyway, we won't go there. Not the show itself. Abel was also disgusted by Jones' pattern and practice of creating fake social media accounts to troll former employees and journalists she deemed hostile, including Puck News' Matt Belloni. Jones was obsessed with, I hope I'm pronouncing the name right. I apologize. To anyone I butcher your name, I sincerely apologize. Was obsessed with Belloni, in particular Belloni. And Abel also witnessed Jones working with journalists to plant and contribute to negative stories about former Jones work clients who had fired Jones. When Abel requested that Jones Work offer its Los Angeles employees a modest 2% cost of living raise, Jones, who spent obscene amounts of Jones Work money on lunches, champagne, and manicures, told her that if that were to happen, it would have to come from Abel's paycheck. Already pushed to the brink, Abel finally had enough when Jones demanded she corroborated falsified accusations about a senior Jones Work employee in an effort to drive him out. When Abel refused to go along with it, Jones responded with mockery, calling her a 12-year-old drama queen. On or about July 10th, 2024, Abel notified Jones of her departure from Jones Work. Abel later confirmed her decision on July 26, 2024, and communicated her intention to start her own business. I wasn't going to read this line by line, but I am enthralled now. I was like, I have to get back to the Karen Read trial, but I don't even think the Karen Read trial is going on today. So, I mean, here we are. So she confirmed her decision on July 26, 2024, and communicated her intention to start her own business. Smart move. Abel offered a 6-week transition period with an end date of August 23rd, 2024. Predictably, Jones took the news poorly, to say the least. Consistent with her increasingly erratic behavior, Jones swung from extreme to extreme, 1 minute desperately attempting to convince Abel to stay, the next berating her and cutting her out. While Abel was resolute about leaving, she had every intention of doing so amicably, a sentiment she repeatedly conveyed to Jones. However, as Abel's end date drew closer, Jones grew more combative. With several weeks left in her tenure and innumerable client matters to handle, Abel found that she had been removed from client email distribution lists and left in the dark about meetings, calls, events she was expected to attend. It was clear to Abel that Jones was trying to embarrass Abel and tarnish her professional reputation in advance of her departure. Oh my God, that happened in a Black Mirror episode of the new season. Or not, well, I think I was late seeing it, but they talk about there's this girl that can shift reality, and part of the shifting reality is making someone look bad by not having it, and like no meetings are going to them, no calls, no events, so they're missing everything anyway. Great episode. This woman actually kind of reminds me of Stephanie Jones. In her final week, Abel contacted Jones' chief and staff, Gordon Duren, concerning the release of her phone number and transfer of her personal data upon her departure. As previously discussed, when Abel joined Jones' work in 2020, she ported her existing phone number, which she had used since high school, and switched to a Jones' work issued iPhone. Knowing that she would have to turn over the physical device upon her departure, Abel arranged for her phone number to be released so she could port it to a new device and retain decades worth of personal contacts, photos, private conversations with friends and family, and confidential financial data, and access to accounts protected by our two-factor authentication. Not to mention, like, I would be screwed if I didn't have access to my phone and like the face recognition. I would be screwed to get into any of my accounts. I don't remember any of my passwords. So that would be another issue and hurdle for me. All right. At no point during her tenure did Abel consent to anyone at Jones' work accessing, reviewing, or monitoring the contents of her device. Jones' work did not have a policy in place affording them the right to do so. Neither Jones nor Duren suggested otherwise. Abel's willingness to let Jones' work port her personal cell phone number to its phone plan was predicated on her reasonable expectation that she would retain sole and exclusive access to its contents and her private data and accounts. Had there been any reason to believe otherwise, Abel would have never agreed to this arrangement. Indeed, it would be unimaginable to afford her employer the right to access or monitor, much less assert ownership of, all of her private data. As a result of Jones' work continued representations, Abel was caught completely off guard by what happened next. Okay. So this is, who's the blue? Hi, sorry to bug, but I'm on the redacted call. Oh my God, it's going to bug out my eyes. And the team let me know he put the notice in to go on hiatus end of month. Is this final or just a break? And I was removed from the, I can't read that word. Is there a plan to tell those clients I've resigned, or can I start letting them know, because I don't want it to seem like I'm just stopping responding out of nowhere. So this is obviously Abel, concerned that, my clients are going to think I'm ignoring them. Was this not going to be a conversation prior? Now I feel like I need to protect myself and make these clients and partners aware. So Jones' work chief of staff then says, hi, I only just removed you from those, is it aliases, a few minutes ago. You're still on Justin, etc. I'm not sure what you mean by protecting yourself, as the teams have been actively covering the accounts and handling all day-to-day operations and client interactions. Part of our timing of when to communicate with clients is guided by our collective decision as a team. We discussed sharing news with the clients on Monday, August 19th. And Jennifer Abel says, that's not true, but that's okay. I really have respect for you and for you, redacted, and know what you have to deal with because you've shared that with me. But I'm also a real person. There's no job worth treating someone disrespectfully. I'm back in town on Monday and I need to get my number back and pay for my device. So let's handle that then. Thanks. Jones' work chief of staff. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, Jen. If you feel disrespected, then I apologize. Regarding your phone, you can give it back. We can give it back to you your last week. Regarding your phone, we can give it back to you your last week. Jen then says, morning, can we please handle switching my phone over today? I'm having to fly home now on Friday, and today is really my only free day to do so. Please let me know if that's possible. Thank you. Jones Work Chief of Staff says, morning, I'll call Verizon. Jen says, thanks so much. Jen then checks in again. Hey, just checking in. I'm leaving the office soon for a meeting, but I can stop by Verizon on the way. Possible to make the call so I can do so. And that was August 10th, it looks like. Maybe 12th, 19th. I don't know. I can't tell. They're really blurry. And then it looks like the 21st, maybe. Hey, redacted. Were you able to release my phone? I'm headed back to Verizon and they said I need to email that. Will apparently be sent once released, but I'm not sure if it was sent to Jones Work. If possible for you to send me my personal email. I really can't be without a phone and I've had that since high school. Please let me know so I can drive back there. Now my eyeballs are going to hurt. All right. So Jones and now I have to focus. Jones and Jones Work steal all of Abel's private data and communications. On August 21st, okay, there's a date 2 days before our last day. Abel pulled up to the Jones Work office in Beverly Hills. There, she was confronted by a physically imposing security guard, a forensic data extraction technical expert, and an attorney sitting in a conference table washing documents. So we already know this. Apart from Jones' chief of staff, Abel had not seen any of these people before, but she was ushered into the conference room. There, the attorney gestured at the documents and instructed Abel to review and sign them. The attorney stated that Jones Work suspected Abel had retained proprietary information on her personal laptop. Abel was told that Jones Work would have grounds to sue if she did not allow them access. And imagine how scared you are. And my anxiety would be through the roof in that. I'd be like, don't sue me. No, whatever you need, don't sue me. So I really feel for her here. Caught completely off guard, Abel was in shock over the hostile, intimidating display. Having never experienced anything like this, she had no idea what to do. No doubt, fearful that she would burst into tears and humiliate herself, which she knew was what Jones wanted. Abel dissociated. That's... I don't know. All these people, I'd be like, peace out, Hollywood, after this shit. Given the coercion and threats by Jones Work attorney, Abel understood that she could not leave without signing the documents, at least not without subjecting herself to legal action. Under extreme duress, Abel hurriedly signed the documents in the hope that she would be able to leave without interference. She did not digest their contents, however. Ooh. But how do you in that situation? After she signed the papers, Jones Work attorney demanded that Abel hand over her personal laptop. Abel complied. The Edgeworth contractor then conducted a forensic search of her system that turned up nothing. Thereafter, the attorney furnished a list of approximately 10 documents that accused Abel of having illicitly accessed and stolen them. She denied it all. The accusations were untrue. Again, forensic examination showed nothing. I feel like Stephanie Jones, it's like working with Blake and Leslie and Ryan for this. If all of this turned up nothing, talk about a gold mine when she saw the talk about Blake Lively. She's like, all right, well, I guess I was wrong. It didn't turn up anything. Oh, but wait, look at this. I'm going to contact Leslie and Blake. That's honestly the feeling. I don't know about you. Let me know if you get that feeling. But that's the feeling I get, is they couldn't find anything. And then Stephanie saw these messages and was like, well, I can start a shitstorm. Watch me go. Which is in alignment with Jones and what the Stephanie Jones Lies or Leaks website said. What Business Insider said is if you try to leave her, whether you're a client or an employee, she will take you down by any means possible. Following the fruitless search of Abel's laptop, Duran demanded that Abel hand over her phone, after which security would escort her out of the building. Abel was ordered to provide the passcode, which she was told was solely to facilitate the release of the phone number. While Abel had agreed to provide access to her laptop for a limited search in her presence, she did not consent to and was not asked to consent to a search of the contents of the iPhone. Because Abel had been ambushed, she had not had sufficient warning or time to wipe personal information from the phone. deregister it from personal iCloud or email accounts, or otherwise secures the vast troves of personal and private data accessible from it. She had no reason to believe Joneswork would attempt to access such data, or she would not have turned the device over without making prior arrangements. Still shell-shocked, intimidated by Jones' lawyers and security team, and desperate to leave, Abel reluctantly handed over her phone and provided her passcode for the limited purpose of facilitating the transfer of her number. It would also allow Abel to get a new phone and move on with her life without undue disruption. Yeah, I feel like at this point, you're just like, I just want to move on with my life. You are crazy. Oh, Leo's here. Hey, Leo. What is this feeling so sudden and new? I felt the moment I laid eyes on you. Loathing, unadulterated loathing, wicked. I have to see that. Not seen it yet. I can relate. Like I can feel, I have, especially with ADHD and rejection sensitivity, I've been like, I just need out of this very uncomfortable situation. Like I didn't do anything wrong. Please just let me out of this. It would also allow Abel to get a new phone. Okay, so we already read that. After express confirmation from Duran and the Joneswork attorney that they would release the phone number, she went straight to the Verizon store. Abel handed them the phone, was ushered out of the building. Seeing that Abel had been stripped of her phone and therefore had no way to contact anyone, some current Joneswork employees reached out to Abel's partners, family, and friends, former co-workers, to let them know what happened. Abel went straight to the Verizon store a short distance away. Once there, Verizon contacted Joneswork to coordinate the release and transfer. Duran assured Abel and Verizon that they were in the process of the release. Take him a few minutes. But oh wait, never heard from him again. 4 hours of desperate unanswered calls. She finally leaves Verizon in panic and despair. She realized Jones had double-crossed her in a very serious way. I'd be pooping my pants right about now. I would have to be hospitalized with a panic attack at this point, because especially if you know, not just your personal stuff, but like, you got to know, it's got to be clicking at this point. If she finds those text messages, that shit's going to hit the fan. It's got to be clicking. But she also lost access to her personal accounts, utilities, insurance, virtually every piece of sensitive information. Jones now had unrestricted access to everything stored on Abel's phone, her text messages, emails, personal phone photos. Jones could read her communications with her fiance, parents, friends, everyone. Oh my God. Jones was acting purely out of spite. It took Abel over a month to regain control over all of her accounts. Meanwhile, she learned that Jones had been sharing her private text messages with the entire office, mocking and disparaging her, having torched Abel's privacy and data. And the fact, I'm sorry, but the fact that Hollywood and Time 100 are promoting Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds and all of these people, and they're all involved in this shit, tells you everything you need to know about Hollywood, in my opinion. You have to be a certain, like, I don't know, to get to the level of some of these people in Hollywood, you have to have a certain personality, and it's just not one I would ever be able to have or embody or live. What Abel could not foresee was that Jones and Joneswork gross invasion of her privacy would not stop upon her departure. In fact, it escalated, which is what that website has always said in Business Insider. So they retained access to Abel's iCloud for multiple months thereafter, monitoring and intercepting her private communications in real time. What? Abel was under the mistaken impression that by switching phone numbers, she had cut off Jones and Joneswork access to her text exchanges. Not so. In fact, Abel's text messages were tied to her iCloud, not her phone number. Until Abel changed her iCloud password in January 2025. For unrelated reasons, Joan had been intercepting and monitoring all of her text exchanges, including not only with her clients, fiance, doctors, parents, and friends, but also with the undersigned counsel. What? The intrusion only ceased by happenstance. What? Stephanie seems to have an MO and is not shy about it. I agree with you, Mary. What, pray tell, made Abel feel exempt to her mouth? Well, and that's the thing. She was leaving and taking clients and didn't protect herself or clients. Hindsight's 2020, unfortunately. Unfortunately. I think, you know, when you're a good person, which I don't know Abel personally, maybe she's not, but, you know, I feel sometimes when you're a little bit naive in these situations, potentially naive, you're a good person and you want to assume the best in people, and that bites you in the ass. And I can relate to that in many respects. Wow. So it was January 2025, totally unrelated reasons. Stephanie Jones was intercepting and monitoring all of her text exchanges. I wonder if they can like somehow prove that too. Like not just that she had access, but that she was accessing it. Yep, Ashley, been there, done that. I wonder if they can prove it somehow. Other than the fact that it's like, oh my God, I didn't realize that it's attached to iCloud and she has access to that. The Wayfair Baldoni account. For almost 4 years, Abel largely managed JonesWorks' work for Wayfair Studios and Justin Baldoni out of its Los Angeles office. Over time, Abel developed a close and trusting relationship with Baldoni, Wayfair CEO Jamie Heath, and the rest of the Wayfair team, particularly as their strategic communications needs became even more complex in relationship to It Ends With Us. Oh, this is wild. At all times during Wayfair's 4-year engagement with Jones, Abel was the point person for the account. It was very clear to Wayfair, and Jones largely did not hide, that Jones considered them to be a lower prestige client and devoted her attention to clients such as Jeff Bezos and Tom Brady. But JonesWorks was in utter turmoil by July 2024, already bleeding clients and personnel. Jones learned that Business Insider was working on the unflattering story about her set to be published sometime in August. Which is funny because Jones also kind of plays it off like it's not that bad, the article. Like they kind of frame me as like a tough, bad bitch. That's the Stephanie Jones Lies website talks about that, how Stephanie Jones tried to twist. I wonder if she tried to get the Business Insider interview taken down or expose taken down and couldn't. So she's like, whatever, frames me as a bad bitch. That's how I look in it. And that's who I am. Because in the Stephanie Jones Lies website, they said that's how Stephanie saw the Business Insider expose. But here it's saying she felt her reputation had been severely damaged by that website, by Stephanie Jones leaks and Business Insider and social media accounts. So she probably was just trying to play tough. Jones was desperate to keep her remaining clients. Given Abel's close relationship with Wayfair and Baldoni, Jones was undoubtedly concerned they would leave Jones' work alongside her. She wanted to make sure that didn't happen. At the time, Wayfair and Baldoni were in the midst of a massive PR crisis as news stories began to trickle out speculating about possible tension between Lively and Baldoni, largely due to the cast no longer following him on social media. It became so obvious that something was up because everyone pulled the Taylor Swift move. That's a Taylor Swift move. Everyone unfollow, make a statement by unfollowing. And he wasn't in any of the pictures. He was not with the cast at all. Like, I can't wrap my head around Blake's mindset of like, this had to be a coordinated smear campaign. There's no way anyone could figure it out. That you had everyone unfollow and you put him in the basement and you expected people to not catch on to something going on. You're promoting your hair care brand, Grab Your Girlfriends and Florals, making light of a DV movie, and you expected no one to catch on? Are you insane? You and Jones need to be in the same psychiatric facility being looked at. You're both out of touch with reality. There's a rant. Jones started participating in meetings, calls, and written correspondence to reassert her authority over the account and convey her engagement to Wayfair. Fake. Wayfair and Baldoni asked Elbow. Oh my God, I can't even read anymore. They asked Elbow to recommend, I'm sorry, Jennifer, asked Abel to recommend a crisis management specialist. After consulting with Jones, she had no viable ideas. Oh, interesting. So Abel recommended that Wayfair and Baldoni engage crisis PR expert Melissa Nathan to assist in navigating these choppy waters. Abel had confidence in Nathan as they had worked together extensively in connection with a different Jones work client. The need for crisis PR expertise was particularly acute due to Lively's demand that Baldoni not be permitted to attend the premiere and the threat that Baldoni would be excluded from the press junket with the rest of the cast. The only one that doesn't seem to think how this, cannot fathom how this ever began organically, is Blake Lively. Abel learned during her initial discussions with Nathan that per her media contracts, a negative story was already being shopped around to multiple outlets, positioning Baldoni's religion as a cult and accusing Baldoni of having fat-shamed Lively after he asked her personal trainer in private about her weight due to the history of severe back pain. So that story was being shopped around to the highest bidder. Smearing Justin Baldoni. I have said this all along. You want to know the tactics that Blake and Ryan have used for PR. All you have to do is look at what they've convinced or try to convince the public that Justin has done to them. Ryan Reynolds, and I have a video on this too, was just in Ontario, Canada, doing astroturfing. Let me just check on the puppy quick. Okay, he's still sleeping. I thought I heard something. Ryan Reynolds was just in Ontario, Canada, doing astroturfing. So you want to know what these people have been doing. Just look at what they accused Justin of. Even though Abel felt strongly that Nathan was the right choice, she knew that Jones would be unhappy with the recommendation. Jones viewed Nathan as a competitor and had a history of bad-mouthing her to anyone who would listen, including Nathan's own clients. Out of sensitivity for these considerations, Abel advised the Wayfair team to remain open to other possible options and to decide after meeting Nathan themselves. Abel feared backlash from Jones, but felt strongly that Nathan was the best option. When Jones learned that Wayfair was considering retaining Nathan, oh god, yeah. She was furious and immediately lashed out at Abel, pressuring her to disparage Nathan as a demonstration of loyalty to Jones. What? What? These people, every accusation is a confession. You got it. I don't know how people exist in this reality. After initially pushing back, Abel eventually relented after Jones called her crying and screaming and engaged in some light disparaging of Nathan to placate Jones. Jones then attempted to derail the engagement and exploited confidential client information to convince Wayfair not to move forward with Nathan. While Heath, Wayfair's CEO, acknowledged Jones' position, he told her Wayfair would make its own decision after meeting Nathan. Oh, yeah. Jones, again, you guys have to check out my other videos on Jones, but this is exactly her MO. If a client or employee tries to leave her, she ruins them. And then the idea is that they're like, oh my God, the only person that can fix this is Jones. And they kind of run back crying. It's very weird approach to life or handling relationships or clients. But that was the idea of Jones. And she killed two birds with one stone by finding those text messages about Blake Lively. It was like the gold mine for Stephanie Jones. I'm actually curious if all of this actually would have turned into what it did without Stephanie Jones having found those text messages. I honestly don't know, because it makes you think, why didn't Blake talk about this previously? It was after the text messages. And it also has never made sense to me why Justin Baldoni would want to smear the lead actress in his movie during the marketing for it. It makes no sense. None of this makes any sense. Like, he wanted the movie to do well as well and probably make up the budget that Blake blew out of the water. So Jones inserted herself into the mix in early August 2024, seeking to box out Nathan and Abel. The problem, however, was that Jones had chosen not to pay attention to Wayfair leadership's communication strategy or internal decision-making, having long claimed to be too busy with high-profile clients. Wayfair was fine with Jones' disengagement as Abel was their trusted advisor, and they had no interest in being a pawn in Jonesburg office politics. In addition, Jones had chosen to take a lengthy vacation in Europe during this critical period of the press campaign and premiere of the film, even after Jones' efforts were ham-fisted, unwelcome, and sporadic given her distance from Wayfair's day-to-day business. As Jones tried to stir up drama and undermine Abel's authority, Wayfair and Baldoni were focused solely on managing the crisis in front of them. Notwithstanding Jones' general disengagement, it's not true that she was kept in the dark. To the extent she was out of the loop was by choice. Jones was copied on virtually all communications during this period and was privy to Wayfair's predicament and its chosen strategy of non-confrontation. Well, that's interesting. So apparently Jones knew that they had a strategy of non-confrontation. Had there been a smear campaign, as was later alleged by her and Lively's parties, Jones would undoubtedly have known about it in real time. Well, isn't that interesting? They never thought they would get caught because they've gotten away with it before. I agree. Quote here, I have been deeply involved in strategy, planning, account management, high-level PR, media comms, as well as crisis, admitted Jones in an email on August 21st, 2024. Well, look at that. So if there was a smear campaign that Justin and Wayfair had waged against Blake, Stephanie Jones would have known. At the time, Lively and Baldoni's teams had negotiated an uneasy truce in which neither side would participate in negative coverage of the other. All right. So at that time, there was a truce. Lively's team had already broken that truce, but the Wayfair team did not know that then. As far as they were concerned, it was best for Baldoni and Lively in the film. I agree if both sides agree to keep the peace. Though Wayfair's team had to date been acting only defensively in response to press inquiries. But on August 8th, 2024, Jones, in another desperate attempt to reinsert herself, she's just got to be in the middle of everything, contacted a Daily Mail reporter about a story they had published about both Baldoni and Lively. She did so in direct violation of Wayfair's instruction not to talk to the press, given the truce with Lively's team. Nonetheless, Jones bragged to Wayfair about trading calls with the Daily Mail in an effort to appear engaged in the account. Nathan and Abel were left to deal with the fallout. So this looks like an email on August 8th, 2024 at 11:50 a.m. Stephanie Jones wrote, looks like there's a lot of redacted stuff, so it's hard to read. Left word for Lillian. She's been very nice in past, so we'll get this fixed. And the sign off Stephanie Jones and her website. Begin forward message from Lillian Jazen, August 8th, 2024 at 4:16 p.m. to Jennifer Abel, Stephanie Jones, Wayfair Studios. Call for comment. Hi, I'm a reporter for dailymail.com, and I'm currently working on a story surrounding the recent rumors that there's been a feud between It Ends With Us co-stars Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. So there's your email. That Stephanie Jones left word for Lillian. Even though Wayfair had said, do not engage with this shit. If it wasn't a huge account, why the heck was she getting involved? I think what they're saying in the lawsuit is because she had no one else at this point. It's kind of what I'm getting. I think in the timeline, like all of her big accounts have basically left her. This is wild. The blatant disregard of Wayfair's strategy sparked a chain of unfortunate developments. Sloan and Sony learned that purportedly someone from Baldoni's team had been communicating negatively to media. It was clear Jones and Wayfair leadership was livid, as was Sony. All parties were desperate to prevent an all-out slugfest between Lively and Baldoni just as the film was about to be released to the world. With her reckless and unauthorized activities, Jones had made that scenario much more likely. In response, Wayfair instructed Jones to cease all activities on behalf of Wayfair and Baldoni for the time being and let Abel and another Los Angeles-based Jones Work employee, Matthew Mitchell, handle the crisis alongside Nathan. That's the first time I'm seeing that name. Or maybe there's so many legal documents, but I haven't noticed a Matthew Mitchell before. Let me know if you guys have. But again, it's damn near impossible to keep up with all these documents. At this time, Nathan started hearing from other journalists that Sloan was planting negative stories about Baldoni. It was under the impression that Baldoni's camp had broken the truce. Anxious Sony executives began reaching out to Wayfair seeking clarity. This is like the mafia or something. It's like gang wars. Like, oh, they broke the handshakes, so now, we could go and take them out. Like, what is going on? Y'all, it's PR. It's a movie. Chill the fuck out. No wonder you guys are having mental breakdowns. Yet Jones panicked about being blamed. And that's not directed at Wayfair or Justin or anyone. Lively, Ryan, Stephanie Jones. Yet Jones panicked about being blamed. You're the one that made the statement. Refused to be sidelined, insisted that she need to contact Sony and Lively's PR teams to clarify that she had not planted any negative stories about Lively. So what I'm getting from this is that Stephanie Jones is like the first domino. She is a nut. Heath told her not to do that, to which Jones responded that she could do whatever she wants to clear her name and that Wayfair, she could do whatever she wants to clear her name and that Wayfair could not stop her from making calls. What? Desperate to sell. Have you guys read this far? Have you guys gone through? Are they fentanyl? They're on something. They have got to be on something. I know you're supposed to pray for enemies, but Lord, this is testing me. I try so hard to be not unhinged in regards to this, but yes, I try to take the same approach. Pray for your enemies, and I try so hard to see multiple sides and all those sides smell like salt. This is wild. And if you're new here, make sure to like and subscribe. I have really great exposés as well on all of these people. If you're new here, I have an expose playlist. Go through there. We deal with Stephanie Jones multiple times, but the depths of her crazy continue to astound me every time I learn more about this woman. But there are 2 exposés on her. So desperate to salvage her reputation with Lively and Sony, Jones emailed a number of key Sony execs working on the film to declare that she was in Europe with her husband partner at WME. Jason Hose. You have to I'm with my husband, he's a partner at WME. Wink, wink. Ari Emanuel. Hello. Don't be mad at me. I'm placing all blame on her team. I can't stand CEOs that do that. In an attempt to save face, Jones ruptured her relationship with Wayfair and Baldoni. No shit. Although Jones ultimately agreed to stand down, Wayfair and Baldoni expressed that they had all lost trust in her. That makes complete sense. After parachuting in for self-interested reasons, nearly blowing up the truce with Lively's team and lashing out when told to stop, Jones became a magnet for drama when it was least needed. As September drew near, Wayfair and Baldoni, with the assistance of Abel and Nathan, continued their tireless efforts to promote the film, put out fires, and see the project through to the finish line. Stewing in jealousy towards Abel and resentment towards Wayfair Baldoni, Jones clearly saw the writing on the wall. Knowing she would soon be terminated, Jones started taking steps transparently and intended to make it harder to cut her loose. Oh. Those steps include sending email after unwelcome email to Heath and others long after the relationship had been irrevocably ruptured. to lay the groundwork to contest that she had been detached and non-responsive for years. This was especially galling as Jones had been in Europe and largely incommunicado, save for the few texts of support to Baldoni prior to the premiere and then her disastrous efforts at self-preservation. I am just dumbfounded by this, constantly just shocked. In contrast with Abel, who was loyal, trusted, and even-tempered while working. Yeah, no shit they left with Abel. Like, you need someone you can trust in situations like this. Jones was a walking disaster whose self-absorption, disloyalty, and insubordination had become a significant headache. Rather than accept the end of the Wayfair relationship with professionalism and decorum, Jones started threatening to sue, demanding exorbitant payments for work not done, and protesting that she had done an amazing job. This is wild. Like, I'm getting a migraine from these people. On information and belief, Jones stewed in resentment and indignity. Unable to bear the loss of another Jones work client, she set out to take revenge on Abel, Wayfair, Baldoni, and Nathan, exploiting the data she had unlawfully accessed and stolen from Abel's phone. Jones disclosed at least some of Abel's private communications to the Lively parties no later than August 21st, 2024. Sloan, Lively's publicist, confirmed as much to Nathan on a phone call that evening. Sloan gloated that, based on what she had already seen, Nathan could expect to be sued. These communications were drawn largely from Abel's iCloud, which was accessible through the confiscated iPhone. Shortly thereafter, Jones took things a step further and transmitted Abel's stolen communications directly to Sloan, Lively, and Reynolds. Wow. I don't understand how Blake, Ryan, or Leslie or the New York Times win their cases. I genuinely don't understand it. Are there any lawyers in the house? Any lawyers? Can you say how this is won? Because when you look at the actual proof, and then I know that Doe lawsuits can happen when you legitimately don't know who it is. So the way I have understood it is a Doe lawsuit is, if it's someone's slandering you online under a fake social media name, you don't know who they are. Like, you're not going to put, you don't know who their name is. So you put Doe, right? They knew who it was. They're lying liars who lie through their fucking teeth. They knew who it was. At the time, Lively was reeling from a storm of negative publicity, devoid of scruples concerning the unlawful means by which Jones obtained the communications, and desperate for a scapegoat for Lively's bad press. The Lively parties likely saw a unique opportunity. While the contents of Abel's communication do not support the existence of an untraceable smear campaign, they do show, by that time of the film premiere, Abel and others in Wayfair's circle held Lively in deep disdain and, to a certain extent, relished in her self-immolation. See, this is the problem. This is what I'm saying. There was no untraceable smear campaign, but now there's proof that they don't like Blake Lively. And through some manipulated text messages, you get the New York Times article. This is why, guys, if you're looking for someone that does the breaking lawsuit news every single day, I can't do it because I legitimately, being around energy from these people gives me migraines. It makes me feel sick. So I pick the ones that are the biggest ones because I can't be around people that act like this, even through legal documents. So these sentiments were the natural result of the Wayfair's party's firsthand knowledge of Lively's vicious behavior and malignant persona. Yep. You're allowed to not like someone. You're allowed to think someone's an asshole based on how they've treated you. And turning over these materials to the Lively parties, Jones knew full well how they would be used, with slicing, dicing, cherry picking, massaging, in some cases outright alterations. The Lively parties exploited Abel's text messages to great effect. Joining forces with the New York Times, Lively parties commissioned the hit. I really want to see what goes on with the New York Times. I don't know how they come out of this without Justin winning the lawsuit. I genuinely don't. I guess you could argue that they sent it like that, but they claim they went through thousands of pieces of documents to come to their conclusion, that they did this whole investigative journey in journalism. When I find myself in a bad situation, I take responsibility for my choices. Agree. I don't think it's healthy to always believe you're perfect. I agree with that, Denise, even when dealing with manipulative narcissists. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I always say here on the channel, I'm not perfect. I'm going to mess up. None of us are perfect. Just take responsibility. If you messed up, you messed up. Like, instead, these people, Blake, Leslie, Stephanie Jones, Ryan Reynolds, think that they are absolutely flawless, perfect individuals. They can't believe that anyone's onto them, and they can't take responsibility for, just admit that you're an asshole. Just admit, yeah, we were pissed, whatever. We had a stupid ass New York Times article come out, but now it's just turned into SA. Leslie Sloan was in magazines claiming that it was SA. That came out of left field. It evolved from SH to SA through Leslie Sloan. Now they're eyeballs deep. They can't turn back now, especially if it turns out that all this stuff's criminal that they've done, that they've misused the court process and lied in court documents. Like, what do you do now? I genuinely don't, like, they have to fight it, I imagine, Blake and Ryan at this point, or else you're admitting to criminal activity. However, for different reasons, the Lively parties on the one hand and Jones work on the other hand needed to create a veneer of legitimacy. The Lively parties likely anticipated or were told directly that New York Times would not traffic in stolen communications under these circumstances and needed the color of law. See, this is what the internet's been saying. Jones work for their part wanted to insulate themselves from legal exposure to Wayfair for breaches of confidentiality. The internet's been saying this for a while. And that's why they did that. Oh, yep, there it is. The Does 1 to 10. Accordingly, on September 27th, 2024, working hand in glove with Jones work, that I was not expecting to read this whole thing, but I am too far deep into this, so we're going for it, guys. The Lively parties and their counsel at Manette, Phelps, and Phillips LLP initiated a sham legal proceeding in New York State Court. Van Zandt Inc. versus Does 1 to 10 inclusive. The sham, I love that they're calling it a sham lawsuit in their documents, was nothing more than a transparent ploy to obtain subpoena power. The plaintiff, Van Zandt Inc., is an inactive corporate entity affiliated with Lively and Reynolds, and entirely unrelated to the film or the Wayfair parties. The lawsuit asserts 3 causes of action: breach of contract, breach of implied covenant of good faith and fair dealings, and faithless servant against Doe defendants only. The lawsuit does not explain how or why Van Zandt was unable to identify the proper defendants, especially in the context of a breach of contract action. That's a good question. How does someone breach a contract when you don't know who they are? Have to plug in my computer so that we don't lose steam. Like the stream. Thank you, Leo. I'm so bad at reminding everyone. Instead, Van Zandt, Lively and Reynolds, and Manette implausibly claim not to be privy to the identities of its own contractual counterparties or its own employees, contractors, agents, or representatives. The lawsuit is devoid of specific allegations against anyone, much less able, relying exclusively on generalized recitations of boilerplate legal jargon. Notably, Van Zandt never requested the assignment of a judge, substituted the Doe defendants for named parties, or served the complaint on any defendant. The only docket entries are the complaint and a notice of dismissal filed on December 19th, 2024, the day before Lively filed their CRD complaint against the Wayfair parties. The same date the lawsuit was filed, September 27, 2024, Jones warned a departing employee not to work for Able because her business won't be around much longer. I need to see criminal charges. I'm sorry. I need to see criminal charges against these people. How are there not criminal charges? I'm not American. I've been accused in Glamour when I was quoted in Glamour magazine as being a mommy sleuth, and MAGA, I'm not American, and I'm not a mommy. How do we see criminal charges against these people? What needs to happen? Because this is, don't worry, actually, the penal code is brought up in the new causes of action. Yes. So good. So good. I'm so glad. Once the lawsuit was filed, the Lively parties used it to issue a subpoena to Jones' work for all data stored on Abel's phone, including private communications from her iCloud and email accounts, as well as potentially privileged information. Since there were no identifiable parties and no party had been served, the subpoenas were issued without notice. Hi, Tundra. Were you trying to say hi? You can come say hi. Depriving Abel of any knowledge of the subpoena, much less the opportunity to object. Plaintiff is informed and believes, and based thereon alleges, that the sham lawsuit was contrived by the Lively parties and Jones. I'm just going to let Tundra into the office. Do you want to come in, Bob? You can come in. You can come in. Hi, baby. You got to be a good boy, though. You got to be a good boy, though. Do you want to say hi? Oh, kisses. You're a big boy. Say hi to everyone. Oh, say hi. Say hi, guys. Everyone wanted to see your face from yesterday. I got comments. They need to see your face. Oh, my God, you too. Say hi. Say hi, Tundra. I'm too busy kissing mom. You're a good boy. There you go. There you go. Hi, Julia. You're coming in too? A puppy break. A puppy break. Say hi. I know. Mom's been working a lot this morning. Hi. Oh, and Julia's coming over. Do you want to say hi, Jules? Oh, no, you jumped down. All right. You guys can leave. You can come back and say hi if you want, Julia. Jules, do you want to say hi? Come here, Ben. Everyone could use a puppy break. Everyone could use a puppy break. He's not letting you say hi, is he? He's not letting you say hi. Come here. Come here. Jules. Come here. Come here. She says no. She's our rescue German Shepherd. She's like, no, I don't listen to you. Are you kidding me? I tell you what we do. I don't listen to you. Typical German Shepherd, female German Shepherd. All right. We had a puppy break. Now we're back. Okay, so plaintiff is informed and believes, and based hereon alleges, that the sham lawsuit was contrived by the Lively parties and Jones, acting in concert to facilitate and cover up Jones' release of the data extracted from Abel's phone and personal accounts under the guise of legal process, without risking detection by interested parties such as Abel, who could have intervened to stop the flagrant abuse of process. As planned by the parties upon receipt of the sham subpoena on or about October 1st, 2024, Jones and Jones' work surrendered the entire contents of Abel's iPhone communications for a second time. October 1st. Wow. Creating a veneer of legitimacy and affording Jones and Jones' work plausible deniability once the New York Times came through for Lively. It's on this pretext that Jones and Jones' work counsel later described responding to a court-ordered subpoena. Oh, and how did Blake Lively's lawyers obtain bombshell text from Justin Baldoni's PR team? Okay, so there's a Variety article about it. I'm not clicking on that because it's going to bring us back up to the top. We're just going to keep going. As a result of Jones' malicious scheme, Abel's life has been turned upside down. Her career and reputation have been destroyed. Her private information leaked. And her email inbox and social media pages filled with a daily stream of death threats and abuse. Probably from Blake Lively's fake bot accounts. Oh, sorry. We need to just have this up. You guys don't need to see me squinting trying to read, especially if we get any more text messages. Ugh. The backlash against Wayfair and Baldoni has been equally devastating, with Baldoni wrongfully labeled as a pest predator. His accolades rescinded. Okay, he's getting all his accolades taken away while Blake is continuously getting new ones. Someone has got to make this make sense for me, because what? And his future projects thrown into doubt. In an unimaginable invasion of Abel's privacy and dignity, Jones and the Lively parties now possess the full contents of Abel's iCloud and email accounts, including her photos, text messages, and emails. Abel lives in fear of what is to come, given the vast troves of personal data in the possession of these hostile actors. As a result of Jones and Jones' work, tortious conduct, Abel has suffered enormous harm to her personal and professional life. All this harm has occurred in the state of California, where Abel lives and works. Wow. So the causes of action, first cause of action, violation of the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act against Jones and Jones' work. The Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, enacted in 1986 as part of the ECPA, prohibits the intentional accessing without authorization or an excess of authorization of a computer under certain circumstances. See, words are getting hard now after reading so much. Wow. The CFAA reflects Congress's judgment that users have a legitimate interest in the confidentiality and privacy of information within their computers. The CFAA provides that it is unlawful to intentionally access a computer without authorization or exceed authorized access and thereby obtain information from any protected computer. We'll skip. We don't have to read all of it. A protected computer is defined as a computer which is used in or affecting interstate or foreign commerce or communication, or that has moved in or otherwise affects interstate or foreign commerce. Abel's private data, including her text messages and emails, was stored and hosted on remote servers located around the country and owned and operated by third parties, including Apple and Google. As alleged, Jones and Jones' work intentionally access these protected computers knowingly and without authorization or consent, or in a manner that exceeds their authorization, accessed Abel's cloud-based accounts hosted on protected computers and obtained Abel's private data, which is a violation of CFAA. So so I might need help with American friends. So please let me know. Federal crimes, everyone. Oh my gosh. Maybe that's why Stephanie Jones brought in lawyers. We have a video on it where she brought in lawyers that handle like federal crime. And I said, like, I feel like something's coming. Bringing on lawyers that specialize in federal criminal crime. Oof. But so they're saying this is all violation, but this is civil court, right? Because I don't know the US or even how I would bring this about in Canada either, to be quite honest. So wouldn't someone have to then take this on and like criminally investigate it? Yep, she brought on white collar crime attorneys. You guys can come in. You keep getting locked out. Have you gone to town yet? I could go for a stone. You can come in, Tundra. Everyone loves Tundi. Everyone loves Tundi. Okay. My husband keeps locking the dogs out so that they don't bug us and that we can stream. But I don't think he realizes that, like, also it's nice sometimes to have puppy interruptions because this is wild. Jones and Jones' work constitutes a knowing intent to defraud Abel and her personal data. And don't go into the chickens though, Tundi. Thank you. Yeah, I think they'll like the car ride. Yeah. And thereby derive financial gain. Abel has suffered harm and injury due to Jones and Jones' work unauthorized access to the communications containing her private and personal information. A civil action for violation of CFAA is proper if the conduct involves loss of one or more persons during any 1 year period, aggregating at least $5,000 in value. The loss to Abel during 1 year period within the relevant time frame, including the loss of privacy and reputational interest in and control over personal data, the expenditure of funds to gain control over accounts, and legal expenses arising directly from the CFAA violation exceeds $5,000. I would imagine. As a result, Abel is entitled to bring the civil action, is entitled to economic damages, compensatory damages, et cetera, et cetera. Second cause of action, violations of Stored Communications Act. Oh my gosh, against Jones and Jones' work. What are you guys doing? Abel hereby incorporates each and every allegation set forth above as if set forth fully herein. The Stored Communications Act, SCA, enacted in 1986 as part of the Electronic Communications Privacy Act of 1986. ECPA creates civil remedy against any person who intentionally accesses without authorization or intentionally exceeds an authorization to access a facility through which an electronic communication service is provided. This is just Third cause of action, violation of the Federal Wiretap Act. It's before a federal judge, but I thought like it was civil, or is it all kind of lumped in together? I said it last night, but I'm still looking forward for a New York low speed chase. Oh my gosh. So violations of wiretap. Why didn't anyone fight for Britney to have this? I feel like Britney Spears had wiretap violations in her bedroom and house. Anyway, do you want to come up again? You can sit on my lap. Come here. You got to get up a bit. Come here. Oh, he's a good boy. He's a good boy. I can't play right now, sweetie. We'll play afterwards. Oh, it's all federal court. I see. Thank you, my friends. The Federal Wiretap Act. Tundra? No. Come here. No. Leave the chickens alone. Oh, boy. There's chickens in the other room, and he was bugging my chickens. Maybe before we go, I'll show you guys a couple of the baby chickens that are in the other room. So Federal Wiretap Act, as amended by the ECPA, prohibits the intentional interception, use, or disclosure of any wire, oral, or electronic communication. So Jones and Jones Work have used the illicitly obtained contents of these electronic communications to monitor Abel's activities after her termination from Jones Work, to spy on her conversations with third parties, including Wayfair and Baldoni, to interfere with Abel's small business and gain competitive advantage, to harm Abel's career, cause Abel mental and emotional distress, and share them with hostile third parties, including Lively, Reynolds, Sloan, and their affiliated entities. Fourth cause of action. One sec, guys. There you go, guys. Fourth cause of action, violations of California Penal Code against Jones and Jones Work. Jones and Jones Work violated the provisions of California Penal Code 502C by doing the following acts: knowingly accessing without permission, obtaining, altering, disseminating, or otherwise using Abel's data, computer system, and computer network in order to devise and execute a scheme and defraud. Oh my gosh. Knowingly without permission, accessing and causing to be accessed, taking and causing to be taken, copy and causing to be copied, using and causing to be used computer services, namely Abel's personal Gmail account and email account obtained by Abel's business. As a direct and proximate result of Jones and Jones Work Act in violation of California Penal Code 502C, Abel has suffered damages in the amount of to be proven at trial. Well, no shit. Now it's Stephanie Jones has brought on board all of these like criminal defense and white collar lawyers. That's wild. In doing the acts hereon alleged, Jones and Jones Work acted with oppression, fraud, malice, and unconscious disregard of Abel's rights. And Abel is therefore entitled to punitive and exemplary damages. Sorry for the commotion in the background, guys. Fifth cause of action, invasion of privacy. Abel has a legally protected privacy interest in her private communications, personal data, financial information, personal photos, and other private data. Jones and Jones Work intentionally invaded Abel's privacy by, among other things, A, hacking in Abel's personal and business emails and text messages to secure information to use in legal proceedings against her. B, without authorizing, accessing, copying, disseminating, using, and publicly disclosing, including Abel's former coworkers and Lively's parties in the New York Times, private information obtained from Abel's personal and business email accounts and text messages. C, intruding upon the seclusion and private affairs of Abel by accessing Abel's computer systems, computer network, computer services, including her email and iCloud accounts, and the personal information contained therein. I just can't even. Sixth cause of action, false light against Jones. Jones Works is going down. I am here for it. I need to start buying popcorn because I am, I always swore I would never stream a trial. And I don't think we would get video for federal court is my understanding, but we might get audio. I'm going to be here with buckets of coffee and popcorn for when Jones' work goes down, because it's about damn time. And for those that like astrology, I have a video. I know like most of the community likes astrology, some doesn't, so you guys skip that part of what I post. Totally cool. I have a video for those that do like astrology that talks about the astrology for 2025 and why all of this is coming to the light and why I think it's only going to get crazier. All right, so false light. As alleged therein, Jones and Jones' work publicly disclosed information or material regarding Abel's moral character and personal and professional life, which showed Abel in a false light due to the psychic. Who's the psychic? I need to know. Okay, so I actually do know someone that is a psychic for celebrities. Like I actually is in my this person's in my network. I don't think the person is this psychic, but who knows? I haven't explicitly asked. But I do know someone that is a psychic for celebrities. And every time I think of this, I keep thinking like, is it the same person? I don't know. Might be. But I've been in the spiritual business coaching space because of my background, like human design and astrology, and I'm really spiritual. That's why I like Justin Baldoni, right? Because he's very logical. And he's very like analytical in many ways, very creative, very intuitive, spiritual. He has so many different he's multifaceted. I think that's why I'm so fascinated by Justin Baldoni, to be honest. And I think that's why so many people are, because my genuine opinion is he gives all of us permission to be us. He gives all of us permission to own all of the different aspects of self and to be proud in who we are, even if it's a little bit contradictory within ourselves. But anyway, that's a little bit of a side quest, as some people get so pissed that I go on, but I go on them. So that's okay. I do wonder if the person I know is Stephanie Jones' psychic. The false light created by these disclosures was highly offensive and objectionable to a reasonable person in Abel's position, in that it made Abel an object of scorn, pity, ridicule, humiliation, and other suffering. Yep. Seventh cause of action, conversion against Jones and Jones' work. Abel owns and or has a possessory interest in the phone number. Oh, damn it. Why wasn't that redacted? Why is the number still there? I hope that number is actually not in use anymore. I did not mean to put that there. That number should have been redacted. I don't know if it's still. Her psychic needs better personal investigators. Ooh. Yeah, her psychic must suck, or she would have told her not to get involved in this. Yeah. Yeah. I need a psychic to tell me the winning lottery numbers is what I need. So I can get a bigger property and save more animals. That's what I need. Eighth cause of action, intentional infliction of emotional distress. No kidding. The outrageous conduct of Jones and Jones' work and its officers, directors, employees, and agents was a substantial factor in causing Abel's severe emotional distress and was a direct proximate cause of the emotional distress. Upon information and belief, Jones and Jones' work were aware that the other planned to commit the tort of intentional infliction of emotional distress against Abel and agreed with one another and intended that the wrongful acts pleaded therein to be committed. Ninth cause of action, negligent infliction of emotional distress. Yep. 10th cause, fraud. Yep. On August 21st, 2024, Jones worked through its agent Gordon Duren and its attorneys, and at Jones work direction, promised Abel that if she gave up her Jones work issued iPhone and provided her passcode, Jones work would release her number and ensure she had exclusive access to the private data stored on it, which, as we know, did not happen. So prayer for relief. 1, monetary damages in the amount according to proof. 2, civil penalties pursuant to statute. 3, pre- and post-judgment interest. 4, punitive and exemplary damages according to proof. 5, for attorney's fees and costs incurred by Abel. 6, for such other legal and equitable relief as the court deems appropriate. And then signed off by Brian Freeman. Wow. Well, what do you guys feel about that? This is, yeah, maybe her psychic treats Stephanie out. Stephanie treats everyone else. Yeah. Imagine basing everything on a psychic and now, oh, look, they failed to predict the lawsuit. Yeah, I'd be like, can I get my money back? Because why didn't you tell me this would all be used in a lawsuit, man? Ugh. I think this was an appropriate reaction to the new information. I'm glad they're ready to get it in. Yeah, I agree. Let me just see if I have any other updates. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's been sent in regards to, but yeah, it doesn't look like the Jed Wallace one is up yet. Okay. I did have, though, as kind of like a palette cleanse. Oh, we can palette cleanse with a silky chick. I'll show you guys one of the babies I have in the next room. You're okay. Little chicken. Here you go. A little chicken can make everything feel better. Animals are good for the heart and soul. All right. So I had a video that I wanted to show. You're okay, baby. Yeah. Okay. Put you back with your friends. All right. I have a husky too. Oh, yeah. I never set out to have huskies, to be honest. I rescued Alaska, who we had previously, who passed away at the beginning of this year. Very unexpectedly. He was only 4. But I never set out to have huskies. And for whatever reason, whenever I adopt or rescue, it's just like I trust that internal pull. And I was just pulled to Alaska. And then I fell in love with huskies after meeting Al. So when we lost Alaska, I was like, Alaska would want a little husky boy looking out for his mama. Alaska was such a mama's boy. But yeah, so when we were looking at taking in a new kiddo to the house, to the family, I was like, it's got to be a husky boy because Alaska would want me to have a husky boy. All right, no. Now I'm going to find, it's like, it seems like a dark talk. It's on death, but he's just so profound. And it was a new interview I'd seen with Justin. And I thought, why not watch it? And we're not going to watch the whole thing, but a little bit of a palate cleanse going over to Justin Baldoni and his infinite wisdom and incredible insights that he has. All right, let me just check, make sure I open the right one. I think this is it. Why I Started My Last Days, a show about living told by the dying. So again, it's like a little bit of a darker topic, but he's just so intelligent and well-spoken. And so I thought, why not wrap up today with just a little bit from Justin Baldoni. I don't know if you guys have seen this one. This is from 6 years ago. So it says, while we're all afraid to talk about it, we all have a desire to learn about dying. This is what Justin Baldoni quickly learned after launching My Last Days, a show about living told by the dying. As it turns out, sometimes all we need is a reminder that to live beautifully is a choice, and it's always available regardless of our circumstances. This reminds me of a book I have. I wonder if Justin Baldoni's read this book. I bet he has. Die Wise, but it reminds me a lot of that. Die Wise by Stephen Jenkinson. It's a great book, by the way. Okay. Let's watch a little bit. It's like a little bit of an existential, spiritual way to wrap up today.
I mean, I appreciate it. But it come I have a very special message that I just felt called to bring to you all today. And where's the camera? And you, if you're watching this, I just want you guys all to know that you are going to die. Thank you all for having me. I appreciate it. Isn't it interesting how normally in a different group of people that statement is negative? It's like an insult. It's the worst thing you could probably say to somebody, especially somebody young. You're going to die. Instead of it being an absolute truth, like you're an audience, or there's gravity, or you are a human being, right? It's literally one of the only things that is an absolute truth in our entire life. Except we, for some reason, have designed our lives in a way where we run away from it. We're afraid of it. It's scary. So much so that I believe we have designed our lives in a way that we distract ourselves to the point where we just spend our lives trying to forget that one day this is going to happen to us. Even though we know, because all of us have been touched by it, that eventually it happens.
So I just have to pause to do commentary on it for fair use. It's such a profound conversation. Again, if you're looking for a book that touches on this as well, it's Die Wise. And Stephen Jenkinson, I believe, if I remember correctly, it's been a while since I've read it, but he worked with the dying. I can't remember, though. What I mean is I can't remember is if he was a social worker or a therapist within the role, but he worked with the dying, and essentially his work was like what he learned from those that are dying.
So we have this culture, right? We're culturally afraid to talk about death. Death is taboo. Hence why it's such a, it's a nice intimate gathering here. If this were something else, we could be in, a huge 30,000 seat auditorium. But the forward thinkers, those of you guys who are willing to be comfortable in the uncomfortable, gather here today to talk about this because it is such an important part of our conversation that we're not having. We should be open and willing to confront our mortality. And what I want to talk about today is how, in doing that, for me, it's helped me live a better life, and how I believe that if we can learn to be comfortable in the uncomfortable, like all of you, that maybe we can, maybe the talk of our mortality can actually influence the way we live. I also find it interesting, I'm in the entertainment business. Just look at the way we've been socialized in entertainment as a whole. I mean, look at how.
The fascinating thing for me is people that just, and I'm newer to Justin Baldoni, admittedly. I am newer to him. And you hear sometimes people that are newer to him, I dove into all of his work after I found out who he was, but say like, oh, it's performative, or he's just talking about this because it's like trendy to talk about or whatever. He's just building a brand around it. He's been talking about this. This is 6 years ago. He's just living proof of what he believes. He lives it. He walks it. He talks it. It's from the inside out. And, I really hope people that still think that maybe his Man Enough brand is performative are willing to do deep dives on him and understand his background.
How we view death in media, right? Like there's an entire sector of the film market that makes billions of dollars, that makes money off of all the just different glorified ways that people can die horrible deaths by psychopaths. Like, it's a genre film, right? People go see these genre movies where they sit for an hour and a half and they watch horrendous things happen to people. But then they never stop for a second and think, well, what if that was me? Or someone I care about, or my mom, or my wife, or my girlfriend, or my child. We've numbed ourselves so much that we're just kind of living in this place of detachment. And I just want to offer maybe a different look at things, because this is really kind of how we think about death, right? It doesn't take more than a sign into your Twitter feed to just be overwhelmed and bombarded with death and dying. Unfortunate situations and circumstances all over the world. We're also
there's an activity that's done in with Stephen Jenkins, where it's this idea of you plan almost like you have 365 days to live, and you like plan out your life based on that. Like, what are the things you keep saying one day, one day, one day, one day, one day? We live like that. You know, I think one of the biggest things in my life was what he's talking about is really confronting the fact that we are limited in our time, and we're not here forever. And especially losing Alaska earlier this year, you always say like, oh, I'm only this age, or I'm only that way age. I have so much time. Not necessarily. We're just going to skip ahead a bit.
I'm doing the things that I'm doing and believe what I believe. If you don't know anything about the Baha'i Faith, at its core, the Baha'i Faith is the most recent world religion, where essentially we believe that God is an unknowable essence, and she has never left man without guidance. And the entire purpose of religion is simply to love and help us remember that this is not the end, that this is the beginning. And essentially, we believe that God sends a different messenger or a prophet or a teacher to humanity to basically help us evolve to one day live in unity, which I know are very far from right now. So that said, there is a central teaching of the Baha'i Faith that is very much focused on the afterlife, which I will get into in a little bit. But growing up, I found, maybe it was because of my faith or maybe not, I was always drawn to the idea of wondering what happens when we die. And I remember being very, very young and having experiences with my grandparents or with other elderly people, and just being young enough to even remember and be cognizant of the fact that they were closer to death than I was, which is a weird thing for a young boy, I think, to even be aware of or to think about. When I would go visit my grandparents, a lot of people like hated it. A lot of kids my age were like, oh, I got to go. And I remember looking forward to it in a lot of ways and asking them questions. And then I also remember every time I would leave, I would wonder if I was going to ever see them again. And it probably didn't help the fact that my grandmother was Jewish and always said I might never see you again.
He's just like, he's such a captivating speaker, but he brings in such, this like humor that's just very natural in how he speaks, even when he's talking about such important and profound topics.
Those with Jewish grandmothers know what I'm talking about. What? Literally, like, you might never see me again. Come here. But I had already been thinking about that. I had already been interested, and I remember asking them about their love and their marriage, and then later on, when my grandmother died, sitting with my grandfather and asking him how he fell in love, and just filming as soon as we had cell phone cameras that worked. I remember like taking it everywhere and asking questions and filming, and just being drawn to it, which I also realized was not necessarily a normal thing, because a lot of young boys, especially teenagers, would run from it. There was no vocabulary to even have a dialogue or a conversation with a young man about like death or dying, or grandparents and wanting to get to know them. It wasn't a thing. We weren't socialized to converse that way. This is my Uncle Louis. Well, he's not there, and he's not here. So okay, we're gonna just go back. Let's see if we can make this work. Here we go.
I have to appreciate the tech issues, because I always have tech issues. So I appreciate you, Justin, and your tech issues.
Well, thanks, Uncle Louis. He was very funny. So he would like this, especially when you hear about the story I'm about to tell you. My Uncle Louis was going to be there, but because we'll talk about it later, I know he's messing with me right now. So this was actually going to be a picture of me at my graduation in high school with my Uncle Louis. So I found out that my Uncle Louis...
So I apologize, guys. I know it's annoying when I have to break it up, but I do actually have to break it up. But my hope is that he brings more of these talks back and like really centers them again when he comes back. Not that he ever stopped, but just really bring it back to the forefront. And these are talks we need. they're talks that are critically important. And he's just so wise. And the fact that Blake and Ryan did what they did to him is just horrific.
Had stage 4 lung cancer when I was 20 years old. And I didn't get a chance to know him that well growing up. And he lived in Florida and we lived at the time in Oregon. And I remember, again, this same feeling of, I need to go. And I remember asking my dad, like, can we go see him? So I remember we flew there, we got to know each other, we spent a lot of time together. Golf was his religion. And it was just this kind of beautiful experience. It was my first experience getting to know somebody who was actually dying of a disease, not just of old age. A few months later, my dad called me. I'll never forget. He said, Uncle Louie's only got days to live. He's in what they call hospice. And his wife, my Aunt Donna, wasn't doing very well. He said the family was struggling. And I'll never forget this moment. I just had this calling. It was like a prompting. And I said, Dad, I'm going to go. I just feel like I need to go. So I booked a plane ticket. And it was like a young kid saying, I'm going to go fight on the front lines, like a debate champion saying, I'm going to go join the army tomorrow.
So profound. I hate to, and I'll put the link actually, if you guys want to watch the whole thing, in the chat for you. Because it is so profound. I hate to skip through it, but I just want to give, it's a half hour as it is. But such a profound talk.
It was my first experience watching somebody's soul leave their body. Holding his hand, he took his last breath. I looked over, and my aunt was just sobbing. And suddenly, in that exact moment, the song skipped. Halfway through the song, it just skipped on its own. And I looked over at my aunt, and her sad face had turned into one of joy. And she was laughing. Turned out the song that it skipped to was the song that they had their very first dance to. And there was no shuffle. It happened mid-song. It was unexplainable. And that rocked me. Like, I knew that there was more, but that just shook me to my core, right? This idea, like, how the hell did that happen? How did the song skip? And of course it was, and I was like, then I just let it go. And I said, all right, there's got to be something more to this. That experience would shape my entire life. And it's such, it's a huge reason why I'm here today. Every religion.
Just to pause there. Interesting. I not share your experiences if you've had similar experiences, my friends, but when, my grandma passed away, who was someone that was very important to me, her animal, like her spirit guide, if you will, was the snowy owl. And she gave me her snowy owl. Like she always said, like, I don't want my kids to have this. You have it. So she, she had Alzheimer's, and near the end, she was like, here you go. Like, take my snowy owl. And so it lives still in my house. And anyway, the day after she passed away, I saw a snowy owl for the first time ever. It's not that it's impossible to see them here, but it's very rare to see them here. And in the winter, they kind of move closer to my area, but it was like very rare. Never seen one in the wild before. Saw one the day after. And then when Alaska passed away this year, the day after he passed away, I saw a snowy owl again. And I always say that like a snowy owl is a sign from the other side that they're letting me know they're okay.
Religion in the history of the world talks about death. Every prophet, every Messiah, every religious teacher, it's almost like we have been asked to prepare ourselves for this thing, but yet we don't really listen. We skip over the pages that talk about our death, and we go straight to how we can be happy or live a fruitful life. This is a quote I love. To consider that after the death of the body, the spirit perishes. It's like imagining that a bird in a cage will be destroyed if the cage is broken. That is essentially the Baha'i belief about life after death. But if you've noticed, we spend so much time here on earth, in our lives, feeding the cage and not the bird. I've made death a messenger of joy for thee. Wherefore dost thou grieve? This is from Baha'u'llah, who's the prophet founder of the Baha'i faith. This quote has altered the course of my entire life. It's also really annoying. Because sometimes, I don't know if you guys have ever, those of you that are spiritual or religious, you read some of these scriptures and you're like, come on, like, give me the cheat code to feel this. As if we were a video game, right? Like, although Elon Musk does think that we are in a simulation. I will say that if we are in a simulation, there must be somebody or something, right, that's still organizing it. So I don't think that him and I are that far off in our beliefs either. What's that? The Architect, exactly. Yes, my favorite movie. I'm sure you and I can talk deeply about that.
Does anyone else want to have like a deep conversation with Justin? Like, I want to talk about like death and life and like spirituality and creativity and art. Like, I just want to sit with Justin and talk to him. I just don't understand how you meet this man and you're like, I need to destroy him. Seems like a good day to destroy someone that has used his life for good. Why not?
7 years ago, I was actually meditating on this, and I was in a really low point in my life, and my acting career had stopped. It was non-existent. And 3 in the morning, I was thinking about this quote, and I wrote down a list of show ideas because I realized that I wasn't being of service. I had been feeding the cage and not the bird. And I wanted to figure out, like, what am I really doing here? And I'll never forget the 3 words that came up that I just knew once I wrote them down, were going to have a massive impact in the world. And they were My Last Days, a show about living told by the dying. And it came out exactly like that night. And little did I know that that would be the thing that I spent the next 7 years doing. I really believe that we need to find a way to change the conversation, to start a dialogue, right? Very much what we're all doing here today. How can we get the idea of dying into a mainstream conversation to hopefully start to influence the way that people live?
It's interesting because I've been drawn to this more and more, and I don't know the name off the top of my head, but someone that I knew ages and ages ago has been studying this and working within this field as well. And I think when we start to realize and start to really sit with, like, we're not here forever. So why do we keep pushing things off? Why do we keep saying one day? That was me when I was in corporate. It was like one day, one day, one day, one day, one day. Like, I want to do other things. I want to live my life. I want to be of service, very similar to what Justin says, but one day, one day, one day. And I was like, wait, what? I'm living now. One day is now. And part of this is a lot of the spiritual work I did as well in regards to living and dying helped me with that.
It was a conversation that we were afraid to have. And, at the time, this was 7 years ago, YouTube had just gotten started, and it was, basically cat videos and people making makeup tutorials.
I mean, it still is.
All kinds of things like that. And I was like, okay, well, let's make it YouTube. Like, yeah, let's do that. People will watch that, right? Little did we know that nobody was going to watch that. At least that's what they told me. We partnered with our good friends at Soul Pancake. It was one of their first shows, and we released My Last Days to the world. And I had met Zach.
My name is Zach Sobiak. I'm 17 years old and I have osteosarcoma. I've been told I have a few months to live, but I still have a lot of work to do. I want everyone to know you don't have to find out you're dying to start living.
So Zach's documentary, I'm going to go backwards real quick. Zach's documentary, the week he died, was seen by 10 million people. Zach wrote a song called Clouds, and he reached #1 on iTunes.
So I just want to, what does it mean feeding the cage and not the bird? So I do not know the depths of the Baha'i faith and how they would perceive that or explain it. So I don't want to speak for the Baha'i faith. From a spiritual perspective and spirituality perspective and the journey I've gone on, the bird is it the bird that symbolizes the human spirit and soul, and the cage represents the physical body, I believe, off the top of my head. So if you feed the cage, the physical body, but not the bird, the human spirit and the soul. So you want to start feeding this, again, not saying this is from the Baha'i faith. Oh, okay. Is it also in the Baha'i faith described like that? Perfect. Feeding the physical and not the soul. Okay, perfect. I just didn't want to speak for the Baha'i faith, but if that's the same, then perfect. Bird's the soul and the cage is the body, and that's what it sounds like to me too. Yes. Perfect. Okay, awesome. Yes. And that's what we do a lot of, right? And even from a nervous system perspective, so my background's in psychology and I'm working with people on their nervous system. It's like, well, of course you're stuck in a chronic state of fight or flight or freeze because we're so dissociated from the body, from soul, from spirit. And we're just stuck up in our head. We're stuck up in the physical aspect of life. And so it sounds like that's exactly what he's speaking to as well.
And became the first unsigned artist to ever hit #1 on iTunes the week that he passed away. He proved a theory that I had that was, while we're all afraid to talk about it, we all have a desire to learn about it. And the thing about Zach that was so interesting was, while he taught us all how to live, right? In reality, what he really taught us also was how to die. And it was the first time that this joy, I really just saw like how death and joy could be seen in the same sentence. Now, what was so interesting, everybody told us that it wasn't going to work.
Thank you, Andy, for saying that too. Yes, but even from a living perspective, pursuing the material and the peril of spirit and mind, absolutely. Absolutely. And your body will store trauma. Yes, great book. The Body Keeps Score is a fantastic book. Absolutely.
Well, it did, because not only did it become one of the most watched documentary series in history online, it's now gone on to be a 3-night special on the CW every single year. The CW has basically told us that we will keep it on as long as you want because it's so important, and we believe that young people need to have this conversation. So the work that we are all doing here is wanted, despite what everybody tells us. People are hungry and thirsty for this type of content. Now, I'm gonna skip over. You can
see, and this is what I do, guys, because if I create content just on that, it gets no views. So I bring it from the perspective of pop culture. I don't know if you guys have caught on, but I talk about serious topics from the lens of pop culture. I got you guys reading The Third Perspective, you know, I got you reading Die Wise. We're talking about life and death, media manipulation, narrative control. I bring serious topics through the lens of pop culture. And I agree with him. I think our souls really are craving these types of topics, but we rarely actively search it out. We rarely actively go to YouTube and we're like, videos on living and dying. Like, who's typed that into YouTube or Google before? We rarely do. We don't type in, how can I die wise? But we might type in Justin Baldoni spiritual teachings or Justin Baldoni Baha'i faith or something like that, right? Or Justin Baldoni lawsuit news. And it just like it sparks something within us. And I believe that we're always exactly where we're meant to be. So someone that's ending up on my live and seeing these things, it might be a little seed that's planted today that doesn't sprout for 10 years, but at least I planted the seed. At least I planted the seed. Welcome, your first live, Heat. It's so nice to have you live and in the chat. We're still going 2.5 hours later because we live on sound bites and fast info. It takes energy to think. Absolutely. And that's what I've always said. I will trade that. You know, people ask like, don't you want like the 10K, 20K, 50K? We live in a world where you grow faster, the quicker you, or the more soundbite information and fast info you put out. And while I'm not against that, I'm certainly not against it. And you're going to see me get in little tizzies like I do when I read court documents. I'm not against sound bites. I'm not against fast info. And sometimes it calls for that. But my soul perishes and I'm not feeding the bird. I'm just feeding the cage, right? If I'm only going for clicks and likes and shares and the most viral and the person that's getting the most views on the content, like that's not soul nourishing to me. So one way I've found is most effective to bring more serious topics out is by infusing it with pop culture. And I love pop culture, so it's perfect. So I love talking about pop culture, and it has the ability to get people thinking in a new way, or at least plant the seed.
You can watch the trailer. It's all online. I was going to show you guys the trailer and get everybody crying. I'm going to skip over it because I want to focus a little bit just
thank you,
on
Kitty. You're the best.
why this
You're
is so important
sweet.
and how hungry I believe that the general audience is. So over the last, there it is. All right, we're going to skip. So I've made 25 documentaries over the last 7 years. And every single one of these people exemplify the idea that you don't have to find out you're dying to start living. And what we found is...
How do you come for this man? I wish everyone that's accusing him of being, and I think some of the words are really catchy, kind of smarter branding, if I'm being honest, in his Man Enough and the toxic masculinity and that brand that he built. There are some words that are more catchy. It's smart though, because again, who is going online and searching Die Wise or something, or searching another great book, The Voice of Knowledge, another great book. I saw somewhere, can I put together a reading list? I love reading lists. Are you kidding me? Absolutely. There we go. Book list, of course. These are the books I surround myself with at my desk, right? So The Voice of Knowledge, I've started again. I had brought a couple of quotes from it in, I think it was the Gene Keys video with Justin Baldoni, but another great book. I just think he's genius from a branding and marketing perspective of starting to intertwine words and ways of presenting the information in a way that gets it out and allows him to be of service on a larger scale.
Besides the fact that tens and tens and tens of millions of people, I think we were close to 100 million views overall, have watched this show, the letters that have poured in, people have written that they didn't commit suicide because they watched somebody that had so much less time with them choose to live so beautifully. It's become a cultural phenomenon, if you will. It's also one of the hardest shows that I've ever made in my entire life because it's not reality television. It's reality. This year was really hard. I lost 3 dear friends, and Claire Wineland was one of them. Claire, if you don't know Claire, I encourage you to Google her. She spent her time here. She had cystic fibrosis, basically speaking and trying to help people remember that death is inevitable. But living a life that we are proud of is something that's in our control, and that we all have the ability to make our life a beautiful piece of art. And
I just want to stop and let everyone sink with that. It's inevitable that we're going to die, yet it's a choice within our grasp to live. You know, how much are we living day to day? And that's something that I've been really conscious of, even with streaming. It's like after lunch, we usually have lunch between like 1 to 1:30. That's it. Like, even if you guys see me now, once I have my chicken onesie on, I'm not streaming. I don't care what kind of news is coming out. I don't care what kind of earth-shattering news Brian Freeman brought to us and is gracing us with. Once my chicken onesie's on, I'm done for the day. And it's just so that, like, I love doing this. I love being here with you guys, but I also need to live. And I love this so much that sometimes I can forget about that. Yay, a book list. You should start in book club for members or philosophical chat night. That is a great idea. I'm actually going to write that down. Would the members like that? Because, y'all, I have 3 bookcases worth of books. 3. So if the members are interested in that, I would love to do something. We can do a book club with like a philosophical chat night. I think that's a great idea. We shall do that. I will start putting that together. Thank you.
And she taught me so much. I encourage you to look her up, watch her documentary. Claire passed away after a double lung transplant from a complication.
I don't know what Discord is. I'll have to figure it out.
The thing about Claire
I'm old.
that's also
I'm
so
old.
special is that her memory is going to live on in a massive way, not just from her documentaries, but because through a conversation, she inspired what will become one of the first young adult movies where 2 teenagers with cystic fibrosis get to have conversations like this about their mortality on the big screen that I just directed, coming out in March all over the world. So which is really exciting. Again, it's just happening because people are hungry for it. And then we decided to turn the script into a book because we really believed that people would want to read about it and not just watch it. And then last week, it became a bestseller on its first week. So again, young people are thirsty and they're hungry.
So I was asked the 4 agreements. It is by Don Miguel as well, but this one is the Voice of Knowledge. But I do also have the 4 agreements. Also a great book. Yes, when I tell you, I have bookcases upon bookcases upon bookcases of philosophical books, spiritual books. It's all the thing. I run 5 Discord servers. I'm going to have to look into it. I genuinely don't know what that is. I genuinely don't know what it is, but I will look into it, my friends. We will do that, though. I will put it together for members. We'll do a book club with philosophical chat night. I think that's a fantastic idea.
Trying to explain to a fetus, oh yeah, there's a solar system. Beings right here on Earth. We can't comprehend. Is a vast universe. This is my wife, and my son was actually in that belly when I took this picture. Can you imagine trying to explain to a baby in the womb what exists just outside of it? We're finite beings, right, here on Earth. We can't comprehend the infinite, just like a baby has no frame of reference to the magical world that's existing just outside of it. Imagine trying to explain to a fetus, oh yeah, there's a solar system, and like stars, and there's going to be air so that, you know, you can breathe with the, oh yeah, you've been developing lungs for 10 months, but don't worry. Like, we can't explain where, you could never do it. Not because it doesn't exist, but because we don't have the capacity to visualize it. And then one day, the baby's born into this life, but it dies from the womb. So what if our death is really just our next birth? And that's really, at the end of the day, what I wanted to talk about and what I wanted to just, you know, drop on the group. Because I know that those of you already in...
What if death is just our next birth? I didn't mean for today to go so philosophical, but I mean, here we are. That is such a nugget to sit with for the rest of the day, my friends. What if death is just our next birth? Welcome, Andy. I'm so excited to do the book club with you guys. It's going to be amazing. I love this community.
And end of life are already thinking about these things. But this comes from a deep spiritual belief of mine. This idea that maybe this idea of death being a messenger of joy is also for the other side. In the same way that when my child was born, it was one of the most joyful experiences of my entire life. So maybe it's about shifting our thinking. And I want to end with a quick story that's a real picture of snot coming from my nose. When my daughter was born, we chose to have a home birth. And
oh, geez, not a home birth. Guys, we have a picture of a home birth. Sorry, now my channel's going to get taken down for corn. Blake Lively, you are insufferable.
My wife was in labor for 35 hours. And what's interesting is I've realized, having been through both experiences, how similar they are. Hospice nurses, midwives.
You guys kill me.
Doulas, death doulas, right? Hospices, birthing centers. Even the language transition. It's an almost emotionally identical experiences. People waiting by their phones to figure out if it's happened. Families coming together. They're mirrors of each other. The spiritual and the physical counterpart. And as my wife was going through her experience, I was right there praying for my little girl and holding my...
You guys are going to now, you know, I'm going to have lawsuits against me for SH for showing this image.
My wife, and creating the experience and playing music, and we were dancing and trying to just create this amazing environment so that when my daughter went through her transition from the womb into this world, she was met with all the love that she could ever imagine that would set her up for her entire life. And as she came through, and I brought her in, and I put her in my ear, and I said a quick prayer, I had this realization that this was not going to be the last time I greeted my daughter's soul.
Aww.
Because as she came through that tunnel, into the light, and I got to be there welcoming her with love and with prayer, I knew that one day after I pass, I really believe I'll have that chance to be there on the other side welcoming her again. And that completely shifted the way that I think about death. So what I want to leave you all with is your work.
Okay, I'm just going to pause quick. We have 1 minute left, but man, I just get so enthralled in what he's saying. I struggle to pause. I'm going to definitely get a strike on this one. But I agree. I honestly don't believe that a mother of 4 would react to a home birth picture like it's corn. It's just wild.
It's so important. I know people, it's hard to talk about with people. I'm sure conversations are awkward when you tell them what you do for the most part. But if you have beliefs like this or experiences that are magical like I had with my Uncle Louis, I want to encourage you to share them with the world, because we are hungry and we are more open now than we've ever been for answers and for solutions. Your work is important. I see you. And please join me in helping everybody learn how to be comfortable in the uncomfortable. Thank you.
Now I just want to cry, but like the most profound, beautiful cry. I don't know how you take out a man like this, to be quite honest. It just upsets me so much to my core on what they've done to him. But I would love, even on the replay, for anyone to share if you've had stories. Like he said, share those stories from the other side. Another story I have, actually, 2 dogs that we've lost that were like children. I know that can be upsetting to hear that, but my dogs are like my kids. When Kira, years ago, long before you guys knew me, when she passed away, every time I took a picture for a week after she passed away, there was an orb, a green orb in all the pictures. And then when Alaska passed away, I'll actually post it on Instagram. So it's just my name, Ashley Brianna Eve, over on Instagram. I'll post it in my stories today. But after Alaska passed away for a week, that green orb was back for a whole week in pictures that I would take, especially pictures that had tundra in it. And almost felt like Alaska saying, like, it's okay to move on. It's okay to, now I'm going to cry, that it's okay to have tundra. But oh my God, that is such a profound talk. So now I'm crying. I'm not a crier, but I think it's just such a profound, important talk for all of us. And for anyone that stayed this long on for the more philosophical, spiritual talk, thank you for hanging out, because I love pop culture and I love breaking news in pop culture. And I love bringing, like, ultimately for me, it's more about bringing shady shit to the light. That's why I do the exposés. That's why I do the information on SEO and narrative control and media manipulation. It's more of like bringing that to light, but it's also important for me, for the channel to have light, and for the channel to have depth, and for the channel to be sparking conversation, and for the channel to be challenging perceptions, and really getting us to think about life and ourselves and others in a very different way. And that's the ultimate goal of the channel. And, I kind of like Trojan horsed it a bit with pop culture. Because look, I've been in the game long enough, and I damn well know, just like Justin Baldoni knows, you put something up about dying wise and it gets 1 click. But if you know how to bring it in a way that is trending, like Justin Baldoni's trending right now, you can really spark such a beautiful conversation and have more ripple effects in the world. So I think that Justin and everything he's going through, what I want to continue to center and put to the forefront as well is a lot of the talks he's had and the beliefs he has, because by bringing up a lot of these talks that he's had previously, I just think it's such a platform to leverage the trending nature of his name right now to push to the forefront and bring into conversation a lot of his beliefs, spiritual conversations, philosophical conversations that I believe we all should be having, and that we just really don't think about in a world that's fixated on clickbait, quick digestion. We are fascinated by negative and bad. We're fascinated by drama. Another great book, Addicted to Drama. Is it on my desk? One of my mentors wrote it. I'm going to have to get you guys a list, but it is somewhere in one of my money. But Addicted to Drama, another great book. We are addicted to drama. And what a beautiful way to kind of like I said, plant those seeds for even those that might be like, oh, whatever, spirituality, but intrigued because it involves Justin Baldoni right now. you know, it's my little part that I do in the world. And that's, if I was to be honest, the bigger point of my channel. And I love pop culture, so I frame it in pop culture. And I love pop culture. I know people love pop culture, so it's framing it in a way that actually gets it seen. Ultimately. All right, so how are you guys feeling? Oh, thank you, Andy. You guys are amazing for being here. You guys are amazing. I appreciate you. Oh my goodness. I have so many. I actually died and came back, and now I experience so much weird things after losing my mom. It's crazy. I just felt someone pull my hoodie and no one's behind me. That is beautiful. It is beautiful. Because of the Baldoni case, I found you. Ashley, I'm so blessed to have found you. I'm the one that's blessed. Are you kidding me? To have such a wonderful community. I love your book list. You're doing my progression chart next Friday. I'm so excited. I love when you guys let me know ahead of time so I can put names to faces when we get on a call. I'm so excited. All right, so I will do that for you guys. I will put together a book list and I'll post it on my Instagram as well as in the community tab on here. Just give me like 24 hours to get that posted. And then I'll get together a book club for members. So if that's what you guys want, we'll get together a book club and we'll do like a philosophical chat, maybe a couple times a month where we get on, we can have more of like the philosophical talks and really dive into some of the books. Oh, I'm so glad you guys stumbled on the channel. I appreciate you guys. That's the best thing about creators right now. It brings us together. Yes. The other person's morals and ethics don't factor for people like Blake. I agree. They judge people like a predator, and the only two factors that matter is what do they have that I want, and if so, can I take it? Great point, and that is true. And that's what I think makes this community different as well. Is it really, because I don't just talk about trending news, and I do challenge a lot in what I say in terms of spirituality and philosophical chats, and we talk about gene keys and astrology and spirituality here. I think it just brings together such an incredible community of people. Thank you, Leo. Oh my goodness, you guys are the best. I mean, at the start of this year, had under 1,000, I think it was. But anyway, my friends, I'm going to leave it at that. I did not expect to stream for 3 hours today. This is also why I'm careful on how often I go live, because I get excited to talk to you and then we stream for like 10 hours. But it was such an honor and a pleasure to be here with you guys. So number one, I will get within the next 24 hours a book list up of like, I'll do 10 of my favorite books to start with. And then number two, we'll get the book club together for members. So I'll touch base with members on that as well. All right, my friends, thank you for being here. Thank you for being open to some of the more spiritual talks on top of the trending pop culture news. I appreciate you. And with that said, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.